Cool Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Yao Ming of Revolution. We got to get into this late-breaking information, y'all. We got to get into this late-breaking information. Be sure to wipe your feet. You in the House of Revolution. That means hit the like button. Excuse me, y'all. We got to get into this late-breaking information, y'all. We got to get into this late-breaking information. All right. Be sure to hit the like button. Like, share, subscribe. I got all the information to break the story. They was lying. The truth is out. We do know what happened. We got to get right into this late-breaking information, y'all.
Yesterday was a wild day for this channel, and I have never seen anything like it before in the 2 years that I have been doing YouTube. Now, I am no stranger to attacks on this channel when it comes to videos being removed, subscribers being removed, likes being removed, and comments being removed. I have seen it all, but yesterday, one video had been targeted in a way that I have never seen before. It's this video right here. Shocking Trump rally shooting suspect in a commercial. It seemed like every little word was triggering their censor bots. Everybody knows that I like to be in the comment section of my videos. I like to be very active in the comment section, so I was replying to comments. I must have received about 5 or 6 comments within seconds of each other, and I was replying to these comments. All of them were deleted back to back. I even had to leave a pinned comment on that video saying, YouTube is deleting comments left and right on this video like I've never seen before. Please comment as much as possible to counter this. And many of you had said you noticed this as well. As you were trying to leave a comment on that video, they were either being deleted or YouTube would not allow you to comment. I was back and forth as to whether or not I should reach out to YouTube tech support, because generally if you have a problem with your channel, they'll run a diagnostic test. Luckily, I had taken a screenshot of this because I had held off until I started receiving errors trying to leave a comment on my own video. I received what is called a returned error trying to leave a pinned comment on the same exact video. And I have never received anything like this before. There had to have been about 200 comments deleted, if not more. Yes, I have seen comments being deleted from other videos, but there would be around like 5 to 10 comments deleted per those videos. But this time, YouTube went absolutely overboard. So I reached out to YouTube tech support because, like I said, what they'll do in these situations, they will send it off to a specialist to run a diagnostic check on the channel to see if there might be any glitches or bugs that are affecting the channel. Even with the screenshot in hand showing I was getting this error, YouTube tech support just brushed me off, which has never happened before. The person reviewing the channel said I was getting comments, and that was that. I said, yes, I'm getting comments, but many more are being deleted rather quickly. They said, everything's fine, you're getting comments, leave it alone. So because I did not like this answer, I reached out to a second person, and still, yet again, I was brushed off. You're getting comments, leave it alone. Even though I have had my problems with YouTube in the past, if tech support could not figure it out, they would always give the case off to a specialist who would run a test. This time, YouTube tech support did not want to get involved whatsoever. It is clear as day that YouTube is heavily monitoring and censoring these channels that talk outside the narrative when it comes to what happened at this rally. Anybody that's questioning what took place at this rally are being monitored. The bots are picking up on any little keyword and outright deleting comments. They were not even monitoring and censoring my Beauvais Island videos like they are with these Trump rally videos. And we uncovered a lot of information when it came to those Beauvais Island videos. YouTube is and always will be very censorship heavy, but I have never seen anything like the past couple days. With this level of censorship and monitoring, I foresee channels being banned. Any channel that questions the original narrative of what took place at this rally. Right now, it's very early, but I do believe in the next few weeks, if not a month, anybody who questions what took place at this rally will be banned, because there is just so much that had taken place on the 13th. So many questions, so many things that do not add up, that the only thing that they can do to contain everything that's happening, contain all these questions, is to now start banning people from speaking out like they did with the C-19. Even the narrative behind the man Thomas Matthew Crooks, the man who supposedly fired the shots at Trump's rally is starting to change. It's starting to slowly change. We were starting to hear the same old BS from people he went to high school with. Even though the man is 20 and finished high school about 2 years ago, they were interviewing people he went to high school with. Those people were given the same old responses when it comes to people involved in these very bizarre events. He was a loner who was bullied. He was bullied over his clothes. He was shy. He was quiet. He sat by himself during lunch. He had absolutely no friends whatsoever. Yet the narrative on Thomas Crooks is starting to slowly change. People in his high school knew him as an intelligent student who had a few friends, but who never exhibited any glaring red flags. I thought he was a bullied loner that sat by himself during lunch. But anyway, the nursing home where he had a job helping with meals said his work gave its staff no reason for concern. In all these stories where people cause these horrific events, you will find that there will always be these red flags that circle around these people. Oh, they were anti this, they were anti that. They spoke about this, they spoke about that. They were a pot boiling over, ready to explode at any moment. We ignored all the red flags. Yet, when it comes to Thomas Crooks, they cannot find anything on this man. They cannot find any red flags. So it seems like they were late in building up this perfect story. Something went wrong. Something got mixed up. I still do believe they mixed up Maxwell Yerrick and this man, Thomas Matthew Crooks. They were building up the perfect story for Maxwell Yerrick. They said he was an anti-Trump protester who was previously arrested at a Trump rally for assault. He also has other history of assault during other rallies protesting Trump. Maxwell Yerrick was supposedly being monitored. What tops everything else off is the fact there is a photo of Maxwell Yerrick deceased with a bullet wound grazing his face. He is also wearing a gray shirt in that photo. That person lying prone on the roof ready to fire at Trump does not look like Thomas Crooks. He looks more like Maxwell Yerrick. This person on the right lying prone ready to take the shot has a mustache that is similar to the outline of the mustache to Maxwell Yerrick on the left. How can anybody not see this? This person lying prone, ready to take the shot on the roof is clearly Maxwell Yerrick. This is the photo of Thomas Matthew Crooks that news and media are circulating, saying this is Thomas Crooks at the rally prior to him getting on the roof and taking a shot at Trump. But if you look at his upper lip, you can barely make out a mustache. Yet, take a look at the photo of the person lying prone on the roof. You can make out a mustache.
Now, I don't totally, not saying I agree with everything this brother's saying, but I want to start my live with this detail, this bit of information before we go into a smorgasbord of all other information. I do have more information than everybody else who's doing any Trump videos. I do have more information than them. So I just want to start off with this, which was very interesting to me.
A mustache is thick, is luxurious. Looking at Maxwell Yerrick's photo, look at his stubble. This is the kind of mustache that would grow on Maxwell Yerrick's face. Something is very, very wrong with this picture here. The person lying prone on the roof, he looks taller, he looks thinner. Thomas Matthew Crooks, he looks shorter, he looks stockier. Even his hair is similar to Maxwell Yerrick. I am telling you right now, and I'm calling this right now, they have both of these men mixed up when it comes to this narrative. What really screwed them up is when they said they ran blood tests on the suspect, and what came back was Thomas Crooks. They are so deep into this now, they are scrambling to put a narrative together for Thomas Crooks, who I believe they were going to use in another false flag event. Towards the end of the election, they were probably going to use Thomas Crooks for a school pow-pow event, if you know what I mean, and the whole narrative has now just gotten mixed up. Thomas Crooks' whole MO looks like it was put together, looks like it was built for somebody taking their revenge, their anger out on a school. Thomas Crooks, this bullied loner who sat by himself during lunch because he wore the wrong clothes, his background does not connect with him one day taking out the president of the United States. They know it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. They know they messed up. So now they have to target these channels. They have to target people who are now asking questions. Major news channels are now warning the public about conspiracy theories and misinformation when it comes to Trump's rally. Where have we seen this before? They are trying to stop us from speaking out and asking questions, while at the same time they work on building up this narrative. There were people in my previous video, in the comment section of that previous video, saying they did not use Maxwell Yerrick this time. because they already used Maxwell Yerrick in a previous event back in 2017. But the event they used him for was a anti-Trump agenda. They were building him up. They even have Maxwell Yerrick's death photo floating online, where it looks like he was indeed taken out by a sniper. Even the ears of that person in that photo matches Maxwell Yerrick. Some will say that, well, the person that was seen lying prone, ready to fire at Trump, was wearing glasses. Maxwell Yerrick was also seen wearing glasses in photos. Like I said, I just have the strongest feeling these two men were going to be used in two different agendas, and they mixed them up. Even the weapon Thomas Matthew Crooks used during the rally is a weapon you always hear used in a school pow-pow, an AR. Well, how did he afford the AR? How did he get it? His father gave it to him. This is the exact same narrative they used in all these previous school pow-pow events. If there was indeed a school event involving Thomas Matthew Crooks, they were possibly saving him for the October surprise, where something always happens in the October election cycle to shake up the votes. News and media ran articles where Maxwell Yerrick was indeed the suspect behind the incident that took place at Trump's rally, and then they started to scrub those articles, but some have been left over. We have not even spoken yet about the other questions we have when it comes to the events that took place at Trump's rally.
We're doing the job. I wouldn't even be doing this. I get some beautiful places to go to the ocean.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. Gary is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. See him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
And Scott, I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a Senate.
What's happening?
Y'all, that first day, it was a reason they wasn't showing us the full picture. It was a reason why they didn't give us the a wide screen. Because when you saw how close this man was, you already knew Trump got set up. But today they telling us all these people were standing around this building right here saying, look at this dude. What is he doing up there? Hey, what's going on? All of these people. Now, when you think about all of these people see this guy, guess what nobody saw? Nobody saw an officer confronting him, then falling off the roof like they're lying now and saying happened.
Yeah, look, there he is.
Because we have millions and millions of people in our country.
Another thing, a myth has been killed. All of these motherfucking patriots, all these so-called patriots, all these people want to save America. You seen a man getting on a roof with a motherfucking sniper rifle and your ass didn't do shit. All these people, I would be ashamed to be in this video. That's real talk. I would not want to be in this video because this is a cowardice video. All these patriots, why they didn't bomb rush the building, drag the man off? I mean, you do want to save America, don't you? There's a bunch of cowards in this motherfucking video too, and they should be ashamed of their goddamn self.
Dangerous people, criminals,
face punk. They let him. He never looked at them. He wasn't worried about them when he was climbing on that roof. Motherfucker could have climbed right behind him, drug his ass right off that roof. He was focused on Trump. They didn't do shit.
We have people that should not be here. Right on the roof. It's much tougher than
now, even though they said Thomas Matthew Crooks was quiet, he had a very little social media presence. He had never spoken to anybody about his political affiliation or practically anything. Now there are people coming out and speaking on his behalf, saying he was definitely a conservative. What? This looks like a Build-A-Bear narrative. They are building this agenda. They are building this narrative as they go along. So this man went from being a bullied loner who spoke to nobody, had little social media presence. They can't find any information on this man, what he believed, to now he was a conservative who was intelligent and had a few friends. A former classmate, and I wonder why they keep using classmates. Nothing about this makes sense. Couldn't they interview somebody from his place of work? But anyway, a former classmate of the 20-year-old man who tried unsuccessfully to end the life of former President Donald Trump at a Pennsylvania rally on Saturday recalled him being staunchly to the right of the political spectrum. Now, in every school pow-pow event that had taken place, you will find that the people behind these events, these school pow-pow events, they always lean conservative. When the information came out about Nick Cruz, they found out that he had a MAGA hat, that he leaned conservative. So now, out of nowhere, they found the one person to say that Thomas Matthew Crooks was a staunch conservative. The other person whose name appeared in this incident, Maxwell Yerrick, was a staunch liberal. He assaulted somebody while he was protesting Trump because that other person defended Trump. So who sounds more likely to pow Trump? The now staunch conservative or the staunch liberal? I am telling you, they have these men mixed up accidentally. This classmate, Max R. Smith, says he definitely was conservative. It makes me wonder why he would carry out an attempt on a conservative candidate's life. Smith shared an American history class with crooks and remembered a mock debate where their teacher made students stand on one side of the classroom or another to signal their allegiance. The majority of the class were on the liberal side, but Tom, no matter what, always stood his ground on the conservative side. So you can see Thomas Crook, his history of his red flags involved him being different in school. What we always see with these people who carry out these school pow events. His history was built up as an agenda for a school pow, not a political pow event. This is absolutely wild. This is absolutely crazy. And the rabbit hole keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. And deeper that we go, the more nothing makes sense. The more questions we have. And the more questions we have, there will be more censorship. We are going to see more and more news and media creating videos, articles, pushing back conspiracy theorists, quote unquote conspiracy theorists. How there's all this misinformation spreading online. How there's all these people on different platforms pushing this misinformation when it comes to what took place at Trump's rally, even though we have yet to be given a straight answer. Everything they have shown us, everything that was captured on video, makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And now in today's world, if you were to ask any questions to what makes no sense whatsoever, why something makes no sense whatsoever, you are now labeled a conspiracy theorist. Two people who are creating this content, stay safe out there because they are targeting our channels left and right. But
all right, so I just wanted to take a look at that video right there to start this off with. That was very interesting. But now let's dig deep. All right, let's dig deep. Let's look at this. But we're gonna hear from Alex Jones. Alex Jones, he finally came out. I'm not gonna go to him yet, but Alex predicted this. And DL Hughley, keep running your mouth. DL, your ass gonna get sued real soon. All the rest of celebrities who said this shit was fake because they can't stand Trump, their ass gonna get sued like Alex Jones did.
Please don't make assumptions about his motives or his affiliations. Let the FBI do their job and their partner agencies do their job.
I don't know, man. I don't believe nothing that Biden says, bro. I don't know. Like, he can tell me the sky blue and I automatically start going, you know what? Maybe I had life wrong. Like, seriously, because I that's how much I don't believe him. I believe nothing this man says. And I don't think that anybody out here should, if I'm being honest. You should tread very, very lightly because, they're saying that he possibly was in on it. We don't have any concrete proof or facts to back that claim up. So no way, shape or form am I saying that this is objective. All of it is speculation right now. I don't want anybody to take anything as concrete. But yeah, in my opinion, he could have been in on that thing. Conspiracy charges need to be brought against the entire administration and every member of, that Secret Service that was there that day, in my opinion. Because, we all know the reason why all of these attacks are headed towards President Donald Trump. We all know why, but he couldn't beat him in the polls. So you see how he's trying to take him out this way. Talking about some Biden, that is, we resolve our differences in the battle box.
But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. That's how we do it, at the battle box, not with bullets.
You know what, Biden? That I told you I don't believe nothing you say, at all. And let me show you why. Y'all are responsible for what took place on July 13, 2024. That day will go down in history because of you guys. But y'all been, y'all been inciting and rattling this idea for this to happen for a long time. Y'all been calling for violence for a long time. And I don't see no accountability being had for the Democrats who did this. A lot of had have been a Republican. A lot of had have been a conservative. I mean, you got Nancy Pelosi. We're going to start this thing off in 2018.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
I said if we were in high school, I'd take you behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump. And that's a fact.
I'm going to punch him out. That's all I know. I would pay the fee. I'm waiting for this. For trespassing on the Capitol grounds. I'm going to punch him out, and I'm going to go to jail, and I'm going to be happy.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. Take him out now.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
Are dressed to look just like President Donald Trump as he's assassinated on stage. Look as his character is stabbed to death. And there's no mistaking the Trump connection.
I know Jay proud of me. He put this around my neck. And I might just kill ISIS with the same ice pick that I murdered Donald Trump in the same night with.
Missouri State Senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I'm at the point where I want to burn the White House down.
We got to rip Trump out of that office right over there. Pull him out that shit. Nah, we ain't about waiting until the next election. We about to go get that mother.
People need to start taking to the streets.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives. And unfortunately, there's plenty to go around.
And Biden want to talk about let's not make assumptions. Really? Because given the information that we have, you know, history, it's known to repeat itself. And usually a person will reveal to you who they are by their actions and not by the words that they try to convince you by. And my God, your actions, it don't add up at all. It's actually quite suspicious. And we are definitely looking at you like, all right, Joe. All right, Joe. But Dan Bongino actually spoke on this, and I would love to get his. I would love for y'all to listen to his perspective. Dan Bongino is somebody whom has educated me, you know, for the last year or so before I ended up getting demonetized. So he's somebody that I actually look up to in this space, and whom is a former Secret Service agent who can provide real insight from experience as to what took place on that day.
Your thoughts on this, Dan? Just continue where you left off on the reaction here.
So again, open security questions right now, and this is why again I think the Secret Service, the PR, Anthony Guglielmi, has to be very careful about what they put out. You know, he says in his X post, and you can read it yourself. You don't need to hear it from me, that they deployed these extra resources and technology. Okay, well, which ones? You're telling me the best technology you have was deployed, and you missed a shooter 130 yards, say it was 200 yards. The Secret Service CS team, Pete, the counter sniper teams, and I'm not sure those two guys are Secret Service. We have remember that we don't always, when we go to New York sometimes with high-level protectees, we'll use NYPD ESU counter sniper. So I'm not really sure either way, they'd still be briefed in. The question we have to ask is, if that's the best technology we have, and we had a CS team up there with a shooter that, you know, we're trained out to 1,000 yards in the Secret Service with the counter sniper team. How did they miss someone at most, you know, 1/5 of the way there? It doesn't make any sense. And even worse, it's broad daylight on a white roof. So again, open questions here. Was there forward-looking infrared deployed? Was there aerial support, drones, helicopters? You know, something happened too. If you go back and listen to the audio, I want you to listen to this after I get off here. When Donald Trump, after this tragic thing happens, you'll see the Secret Service agents. And by the way, I know some of those guys personally. It takes a lot to run into bullets, divorcing the security failure. So at least they did that part, you know, correctly, and they knew what they were doing. after the security absolutely failed. But you're going to hear something if you listen closely. The guy mentions Hawkeye on the scene. He's talking about those two, the black BDU with the tactical gear CAT element, that two-man CAT element. That stands for Counter Assault Team. That's a Secret Service special weapons team, equivalent to our SWAT. So they're there. They all deployed and did what had to be. That the bunting around the front of the stage is probably armor. Donald Trump knew to duck. I mean, most people would. He saved his own life. That's just a fact. The evacuation did not go right. I mean, the rule with the Secret Service is cover the protectee and evacuate. The other rule is maximum to the protectee, minimum to the problem. Why minimum to the problem? Because you don't know that's the only problem. It could be a distraction. There could be another person in the crowd. So if you don't jump on the protectee, you could.
Revolutionary salute to our brother du jour, Brewer, for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. I appreciate the love, family. Salute.
Be looking at multiple shooters. So at least that part, the guys there, stepped up there. But the failure here is absolutely catastrophic. And I got to tell you, the Secret Service should be very careful. I can tell you and absolutely confirm from the horse's mouth, from multiple people, not just one. And I saw Congressman Waltz text this out before on X. There have been repeated requests to increase the security footprint around not just the residences of Donald Trump, but the body itself. And they have been rebuffed. Like I said, I can tell you actual quotes. The Secret Service directors completely failed and candidly should resign today. Kim Cheadle has failed Donald Trump and honestly failed Joe Biden too. He's the president right now. Where's the DHS secretary? I mean, this is, you're blaming it on manpower? So just to be clear, we're a $4 trillion United States government and we can't fork over enough money to keep our people alive? And then
that just don't make any sense whatsoever. And like I was telling y'all in the previous video, definitely everybody that's in the Secret Service who was running that day should be investigated, simply because what was allowed to happen with the information that they had prior. We know that they had at least 2 minutes of being aware of this sniper being there, knowing he's there without doing anything before he decided to take shots. So that right there is reasonable suspicion for me to go, everybody in here needs to be investigated. And this is why I love to hear Dan Bongino's perspective on, things like this, because he's somebody who was actually there. He's somebody who protected the president. He was there with Obama. I know for a fact. I don't know if he was there prior and nothing like that. But yeah, man, he's somebody who has real insight to it and knowledge on how all of these events are supposed to be run down. In case of an event like this, how they're supposed to respond. So let's continue.
We're sending out tweets like, oh, this is the best technology we have. Really? To let a sniper 150 yards away from the potential next president shoot a piece of his ear off? That's your victory lap? Give me a break, man.
Dan, I mean, you bring up so many amazing points, and I just don't even know where to begin except to ask you, why would the Secret Service not beef up more security for the man who is most likely to be assassinated?
Because he's a threat to. Okay, I'll shut up.
Entire world. Why would they not deploy more resources? Why weren't there drones?
Y'all do know they dropped his classified documents case today. That's even more damaging evidence that they did on. They dropped his classified documents case today. That's down the drain. You know, January 6th went down the drain too. They messed that up in Atlanta. The only thing they really hit him with was Stormy Daniels, the prostitute in New York. So all of a sudden today, his class, that was the one they said they got him. Selling secrets, they got him. No, that was dropped today. But guess what? You think the people in government, you think Biden, you think his FBI, the CIA, you didn't think they didn't know that case was going to get dropped? Man, come on, they knew that. They knew they didn't have nothing. They was absolutely at their last resort.
Drones over. Is it that this woman, Kimberly Cheadle, the director, is incompetent? Could there be something else there? What is happening? Is it DEI? What's going on?
Well, Rachel, it's my job, if I'm going to give an opinion, to back it up. Opinions are like holes, right? Everybody has one. The difference between one opinion over the other in a courtroom and anywhere else is, can you back it up? I want everyone at home, go down your phone or computer now, and I want you to look up U.S. Secret Service, red ties, Donald Trump. Yeah, read it. The Secret Service was more concerned about protective agents around Donald Trump. If you think I'm making this up, go to a left-wing search engine if you think I'm biased. Go to Scroogle and put it, oh, you're reading a story right now. They were more concerned about the color of the Secret Service agents' ties around Donald Trump, given the perception that a red tie was somehow, I've got red ties. I'm a Republican. It's nothing to do with it. I just like red ties. They go nice with white shirts. That's an actual, oh, you see it right now. I'm not crazy. This is what the Secret Service was concerned about. They put out, 1,000 tweets about all of this DEI stuff. Do I know that's related here? I don't. I'm just saying, like, you have one job and only one job. Your job is keep the body alive, no matter what. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Jill Biden, the president of Djibouti, it doesn't matter. That is your job. They absolutely, resolutely,
for the record,
100%.
I don't know if Djibouti is a real place. I'm assuming it's not. If it is,
percent failed. Not a single excuse should be made. Not a single excuse should be attempted. This should be the subject of congressional hearings and investigations, because if they can't do this, and this is the best technology you had, then folks, there's no purpose anymore. This isn't the agency I grew up in. It's not. I spent 12 years of my life there, and I'm telling you, I know some of those guys personally. Man. These are good men and women.
Don't believe the Secret Service is lethal. They efficient. Obama's still alive, and these white supremacists wanted him dead. You best. They stopped so many white supremacists from killing Obama. They was on top of their game. You best believe that. You come on, man. You remember white supremacists was attacking the White House? They were trying to jump the scales. They was going left and right trying to get Obama. The Secret Service wasn't going to let that happen, because then all hell was going to break loose. A lot of black people were still backing. You got millions of black people that hit the motherfucking streets. Serious business. Obama would have got killed. But the Secret Service protected him. And hardcore military-style killers, white supremacists wanted him dead, nigga. And they couldn't fire a slingshot at Obama. So we don't want to hear that the Secret Services, they just don't know how to get it right. Now, that's bullshit.
But this was an apocalyptic security failure. And don't ever forget, an uneventful failure is never a success. And the fact that Donald Trump didn't die yesterday is no reason for anybody to take some kind of victory lap. And before we start sending out plaudits, we better look and do a hot wash on this and find out exactly how abysmal this security plan was.
Well, uniquely, because you also have unique experience, uniquely, you've been able to tell us today that the failure is on both the ground level and the immediate reaction, the advanced level, and seeing what could potentially be the problem, and at the organizational level.
Russia and China and America is, if this shit would have happened in Russia, them niggas would have been fired, prison. China, they probably got death penalty. That's it. You probably got death penalty in China if you did that. But in America, I'm talking about not the shooter. I'm talking about the people who failed the president. Your ass is in serious trouble. The people who failed, your ass is in serious trouble. Putin removed generals. America don't. All these wars they lost, they've never removed a general. Only general removed was because they said something disrespectful about Obama. Look it up. Stanley McChrystal got removed from Iraq because he's talking to a Rolling Stone reporter in a disrespectful tone about Obama. Oh, and then that Rolling Stone reporter, damn, his car did blow up, and they say he was driving drunk. Look that up. But they don't remove their people who mess up. In other countries, Russia, shit, man, these Secret Service people will never be around another VIP again.
And what kind of resources were given to Donald Trump over time. And as we said, you have the experience to know. Dan Bongino, thanks so much.
Another thing that, I sit back and wonder is, how was the people in the crowd communicating with the police, but nobody communicated with the Secret Service? Now, I don't know that to be a fact. I'm just going off of the video that I watched. When you heard the people, yo, somebody on the building, and you see the cop just like walking past the building all slow or whatnot. I didn't see him get on his radio. I didn't see him do none of that. And honestly, another thing, I can't believe that Fox News actually brought Dan Bongino back onto the platform, especially with the history given there. But man, I'm just so happy to hear, him related information. All
right. We're going to dig deep today, y'all. We're going to dig deep into this. We got all the greatest information right here on Core Figure TV. Should we go to... Nah, we ain't going to go to Alex Jones yet. Cause we do got Alex Jones and came out. You know, that's why they wanted to silence Alex Jones for times like this, because Alex Jones told the people this was gonna happen. Revolutionary salute, peace alert, peace alert. Co-figure told y'all this is gonna happen. But remember, I tell you World War III gonna happen too, because that's next. They didn't kill Trump, so they're gonna have a big war. They gotta get that. Joe Biden start that war with Iran. If Benjamin Netanyahu start that war with Iran, come on, man. Joe Biden ain't leaving power. Nobody is going to remove a president while a big war going on. That ain't going to happen.
The latest. But for now, the Republican National Convention, we're here. It's officially underway here in Milwaukee. This is, we're tracking a presidential race that has seen a dramatic shift in the past 72 hours. No one could have predicted it. First, former President Trump, he's expected to announce his vice presidential pick at any moment. We've all been waiting.
He announced J.D. Vance, the guy up there at the top left. He announced him as his VP. So that's over with.
The context clues as we get them, and we're about to find out who will join the ticket. We've been asking that question for so long. Today is the day. Also breaking, a judge has tossed out former President Trump's federal classified documents case, ruling that special counsel Jack Smith should never have been appointed. We have a live report coming up. And the unprecedented backdrop for all of this.
Heard that, y'all? So today, what is it, 2 days after assassination on Donald Trump, they need to look into Jack Smith. Jack Smith, what do you know about this? The one case they said, we got it. We know we're going to get him on this document case. He had all these classified documents. He's trying to sell them. Well, they threw that out today and said Jack Smith, the political appointee, was never supposed to be appointed to that case. So the case was down the drain. Now, you tell me 2 days ago they didn't know that. They been knew that. They was huddled up in the room saying, damn, it's all falling apart. We don't got no cases on them. Nope, Atlanta went up in smokes. Now this was going to get thrown out. All they got was a Stormy Daniels BS. Nobody care about their porn star. Biden just failed miserably on TV in the debate. Come on, man. They last ditch effort was to take him out.
The assassination attempt on former President Trump. New developments on the investigation and what the shooter was doing just hours before he climbed on top of that building and fired. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany, here with my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Emily Campagno. Also joining us, former State Department spokesperson and founder of Polaris National Security, Morgan Ortagus, and former Biden campaign surrogate, Kevin Walling. But first, let's go to CB Cotton. She's live in Butler, Pennsylvania with the latest on the investigation. CB.
Hi, Kayleigh. Good afternoon. This is the rooftop where federal agents say Thomas Matthew Crooks tried to assassinate former President Donald Trump. The rally was taking place where you can see that American flag blowing in the distance. It's only about 200 yards away from where we are standing. This is now an active crime scene. We are being kept away from the immediate area. But throughout the morning, we've seen state and federal agents coming and going. We've also learned that the shooter reportedly purchased 50 rounds of ammunition in the hours before this tragedy. Federal law enforcement sources tell us it was
the CIA, for regular police. Shame on them. What? Citizens point, hey, look at that guy up there with that gun. President is 200 yards away. He's up there. They got a gun. Everybody standing around, even the police. Come on, man. What the hell?
Local law enforcement who had responsibility for security.
Just like in Dallas, the local law enforcement was in on it. See, what y'all understand is they don't really divide this country. You got some law enforcement, you got some police officers, they want Trump to get whacked. That's just the truth. They stone cold Democrats. They riding with Biden. And they was praying this young punk pulled it off for him. He barely missed.
Securing the rooftop. It was rally goers who first spotted the gunman crawling on top of the building. Sources tell us one officer climbed to the top of the roof, saw Crooks armed with a rifle, and retreated. Soon after.
They want to keep saying that. They didn't say that the first day. They got shamed because the witness came out and told us the truth that, hey, I told the officers and everybody else that dude was up there. Now we're getting pictures of more people standing out there saying, hey. Now they're saying this officer went up there. Well, show us where that body cam at. Where's that body cam of the officer going up there? You telling me at a security event like this, they telling you to shoot on the roof, your body cam don't come on? Man, please. So now we see people got cameras. Show me some witnesses. I don't want to hear a week from now a witness come out and say, yeah, I seen the officer. Oh, man, no. Where is the witnesses saying we seen the officer go up there and we seen the officer fall off the roof? Where that's at? because they making that up.
After that, Crooks began to fire, according to the source. And we know moments later, a Secret Service counter sniper shot and killed the gunman. Our federal sources tell us they're still trying to access the shooter's phone as they try to learn what may have motivated him.
Why are they not talking about how he grew up? Usually we hear about how he grew up. Why are we not hearing he grew up in a nice Jewish family? Why are we not hearing with a good Jewish mother, a good Jewish father? Why are we not hearing that? Because if this was a Muslim dude, you'd definitely be hearing that. You definitely be hearing that. This is a good Jewish father, a good Jewish family. Why are we not hearing what their leanings was? How do they feel about Palestine issue right now? Could Palestine, Israel have set this man off? Did Trump not pledge to do enough? Huh? But we should be hearing about his background more. But they're not. They're not. Oh, national security. We can't talk about that. I know y'all can't.
Bomb-making materials found inside the shooter's home and car have been shipped to the FBI's lab in Quantico.
Bomb-making material. Come on, man. That man daddy ain't arrested yet. His daddy gave him a gun. So did his daddy give him the bomb making? Oh, I gave him the gun. I don't know nothing about no bomb-making material. Yeah, we got 72 hours to ask you that in jail. You can sit there for 72 hours at least. Is that where his daddy at? Bomb-making material, once again. Damn, who knew you could ride up to a presidential event with bombs in your car like Al-Qaeda, like the white ISIS? This you telling me you could just drive up and set the car off and kill Americans? I mean, that's what y'all saying. Bombs was in the car? Come on, man.
Learned a social media profile the shooter had on Discord has also now been removed, according to a statement, which reads, quote, "We have identified an account that appears to be linked to the suspect, and we removed the account according to our off-platform behavior policy. It was rarely utilized, has not been used in months, and we have found no evidence that it was used to plan this incident, promote violence, or discuss his political views." Today, we saw the FBI agents around the shooter's home, talking to neighbors, going door to door down the block.
I mean, is this a good Jewish community? I mean, when are we going to learn about where did he go for his religious teachings? Huh? When are we going to get to that? We need to know all that type of stuff. Who was his rabbi? Huh? He already tried to hide behind the name Crooks. Until George Galloway gave him up. The media not talking about that Crooks in my ass. That ain't your real name, boy.
I knew it was my neighbor when we were told we had to leave the house.
Yeah, she got a marijuana shirt on.
The Secret Service now pushing back against criticisms over its handling of security for this rally, and the Secret Service director saying she's committed to working with both state and federal agents to make sure something like this never happens again. Kaylee.
CB, thank you. You know, Emily, I want to back up for a moment and, talk about something that was kind of overlooked, but it's something that President Trump said to Brett Baier. And I confirmed with Brett the quote that President Trump shared with him. And here's what President Trump said. There's a lot of talk about what could have been done to get the shooter, a lot of questions, but the guys around me did a fantastic job. I talked to a senior law enforcement official who is retired, who is familiar with presidential protection. And what he told me was the counter sniper neutralized the threat in 3 seconds. So 7 heroic agents who jumped on top of him did just what they should have done, bringing him beneath the pipe and drape where there is an armor in front of him. So a lot of questions.
And we got to really look deep and see if they knew Trump was going to win, if that's not the warning to Trump. Like, nigga, we hit you in your ear. It could have been different. It could have hit you in your head. Now, you finna get in office. Now, because we putting it all on the table here. We ain't came to no definite. We know it was real. That's what the conclusion we came to. Who did it? We don't know. But we know they try to, they trying to scam or they try to whack them. But, letting them know you're not going to disengage from Ukraine. You will keep funding Ukraine, nigga, even if we got to fight Putin. It's $20 trillion on the line. So, the Secret Service, the government, they can't be trusted here. So Trump is saying they are still around him. Hell yeah, he gonna say, I trust these people. They still with him. They ain't went nowhere.
We don't have all the answers, but there were some people who acted quite heroically that day.
That's right, Kaylee. And later in the show, we have the honor of having former supervisory agent Jeff James, presidential detail for many decades there, join us. And we're going to pick his brain a little bit about those operations. I want to point out as well that recall among the first things out of President Trump's mouth after that attempted assassination was to express that gratitude for those brave men and women who have sworn to protect him at all costs, even if it means sacrificing their lives. And that level of gratitude in the face of what can only be, I'm sure, extreme shock is really commendable.
Reagan got shot. They didn't take no
mind-
bullet. Kennedy, they didn't take no bullets. They didn't protect Robert F. Kennedy, man. I want to see off the movies, them diving from the bullets, all that type of shit. Live on TV, we just seen them dive on the man after the shooting, had ceased.
Mindset is, to your point, I can't think of anyone who watched this unfold without such agitation and fear and shock and dismay. And there, by the grace of God, President Trump is still standing before us because, frankly, what we see, it's splitting hairs in time. He just slightly shifted his face, and that is why the bullet only grazed his ear. That is a miracle at a minimum, Kaylee.
It is a miracle. Providence comes to mind. He clearly had Christ protecting him in that moment. Morgan, you've been to a lot of rallies like I have. You know how this works as well. There is no doubt that there was a failure, and we will figure out where that failure happened, where it occurred.
Stop saying that now.
However, it's important for our viewers to understand, at a rally, there's an inner perimeter, a middle perimeter, an outer perimeter. Inside the perimeter, when you get past the magnometers, Secret Service controls that area. Outside of that perimeter is local law enforcement, which Secret Service has to rely on in some respect. This senior law enforcement official said he believes the investigation will reveal that it was indeed local law enforcement in charge of that building, as CB Cotton sources are telling her as well. And another question, a huge question, is what assets did Secret Service request? What was accepted? What was denied? And where did that breakdown happen?
Local law enforcement told the Secret Service they searched the book depository on the day Kennedy got killed too. Anybody remember that story? The local law enforcement say they had already searched that building.
Haley, first of all, I've been to a lot of these rallies. I've been with you. It's fun watching people take selfies with you. You're always a big hit at those rallies. Immediately when I saw this, I thought about the many times I've been with Mike Pompeo and had diplomatic security, the times we've been with the president. I just want to reiterate what Emily said. It's so important. I would always look around at the Secret Service or the diplomatic security and know that these men and women would be willing to take a bullet for the principal and for all of us if needed. I'm so grateful for that because everybody in that picture protecting President Trump was somebody who had a wife, a mother, children, spouses, husbands. They all had family that watched them put themselves in harm's way in real time. When you start to talk, though, about the physical security, of the rally, there are a lot of important questions that have to be answered. You just laid them out, so I'm not going to reiterate all of them, Kaylee. I think you laid them out perfectly. And this is why you're seeing Congress call for this head of the Secret Service, the head of DHS, to come forward and testify, because it's not just about former President Trump. It's also about the Secret Service for our sitting president, for the first ladies. And I would remind everybody, I've been saying this on Outnumbered for 3 years, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to reiterate this again. The Iranian regime has active threats against President Trump and his former cabinet members. And our enemies saw those vulnerabilities on Saturday.
That's true. Now, lady, you just said they got to watch you. Fox News, y'all trying to plant this lady on here and act like Iran going to be. See, Iran going to kill Trump. But it is true that Iran do have a hit on Trump for killing Soleimani. That is true. Trump shouldn't have did that. I got to stand on revolutionary business, man. Soleimani was taking care of ISIS. Trump shouldn't have did it, and he still be bragging about this to that day. The Iranians just pissed off about that. Him and Mike Pompeo do have a sitting hit on them, and they wanted for arrest in Iran. That ain't no lie. So that's true. That's absolutely true.
So it has to be fixed.
Harrison, you sat down with President Trump and he goes off and no one expected anything like this to happen. No. And then, there was talk of, is the RNC canceled? Is he still going to show up? He came. He made it on time despite all of this. It's really remarkable.
Well, he didn't just show the nation that we are all capable of amazing resilience by raising his hand in that iconic fashion, that fist, blood streaming down his face, and getting out the word fight. He did that, yes. But he also showed us that we're capable of so much.
Everybody right here, Everybody said like, this is absolutely fake. Who would do that? It's a bunch of busters. You ain't got no heart. You. Everybody would say that. That's because it's something you would never do. You couldn't even imagine nigga taking one and still riding and being, because you're cowards. And you hate us. Anybody would say, oh, this is fake. You a hater. You don't want it to be real. You hate the man that much. How can you live with so much hate in your heart? You don't even hate slave master Biden. You know Biden family owned, he was descendant of slave owners, right? Come on now.
Much more. I mean, he kept going. He played golf. He went to the thing reflexively that soothes him, that he loves, at Bedminster, a beautiful place, another beautiful place where he lives. He reminded us that there is more than this political fight that we're in this moment. There is the reason why we're in it that we need to focus on, and that is that America has got to be better than what it is right now. I want to share something with you that I've been thinking about the assassination attempt, as we call it, on Donald Trump's life. I call the shooter an assassin because he did kill someone that day. An American citizen who went to a rally to see if maybe his beliefs would start to come out of a candidate's mouth, and that would be the person that he would vote for. The reason why everybody goes to a rally. Is this the person I've been cheering for? Is he worth my vote? Blah, blah, blah. Taken out in front of his family. And I know Governor Glenn Youngkin last hour was recognizing Corey and his family. But also you have two people who are hospitalized. Their conditions upgraded to stable now.
That right there is going to haunt D.L. Hughley motherfucking ass. You heard it here first. D.L. Hughley will be sued. Amanda Seale, she already backtracking. Oh, no, the gun was real, but she must have talked to her publicist, and they told her, D.L. Hughley, he just get paid so much, he just a Buddha. Oh, whatever they did, pull my video and told me don't bully D.L. So I can't bully D.L., y'all. We won't do that. D.L. Hughley, in my opinion, is being paid as a Democratic operative to disrespect our people. He all the way in, but that death, that innocent man who jumped on his wife and his daughter to save him, and he was killed. D.L. Hughley gonna get sued like Alex Jones got sued. That family gonna get a hold of his ass. He would to email them and let them know to go how they got to go about this. That house nigga gonna get what's coming to him.
He was an assassin. There was an assassination. It just was not, thankfully, the president, but it was someone's dad, someone's husband, and we must not forget that. So, yes, the FBI classifies it as an assassination attempt, but I've been thinking about that.
Yeah, Corey Comparatori, a father of two, shielding his daughter, an absolute hero, a firefighter. He attended church every week, an upstanding member of his community, and he lost his life to this gunman. You know, Kevin, right behind me, at some point, we are going to have an enormous moment when President Trump walks on that.
Download Hughley because YouTube community guidelines, that's why they took my video. They don't want bullying. So the DL do not stand for download Hughley. I don't know what it stands for, but I will no longer call him download Hughley in that type of term. So y'all don't be expecting me to say download Hughley anymore.
On that stage, everyone wanting to see him. We don't know what his ear is going to look like. We don't know optically, you know, what he's going to look like, but he is going to exude strength, and it will be quite a moment. I'm going to predict that moment happens tonight, but we'll see. Your thoughts, Kevin?
I think it's going to be an incredible moment. Kaylee, to your point, there by the grace of God, the former president's life was saved. You know, it was such a remarkable thing to see the president come up from that attack. Fist raised in the hand, his hands raised, as Harris just talked about. And the fact that, you know, to Harris's point, too, this was a murder scene. This man lost his life. We want an engaged citizenry. We want people showing up. We want people knocking on doors, going to rallies, engaging in the political process. And as the President Biden said, that spot at that dinner table will forever be gone because of this assassin's bullet. So this is a horrific event. I am so encouraged by what the former president has said publicly in his interviews and his tweets calling for unity. I think this is a real moment. The former president, the president spoke, the first lady and the former first lady spoke. Hopefully we can continue to have that atmosphere proceed in the next couple of days here in Milwaukee and throughout the rest of the campaign.
Yeah, we all know Donald Trump the fighter, but I think you're about to meet Donald Trump the healer tonight and in the days to come.
That's right.
Hey, everyone.
Reparations, lineage-based reparations, definitely going to heal this country. And now's the time. Everybody is feeling like you know, everybody thankful, you know, and I heard the people praising Jesus, and it's good. Because guess what else Jesus would want you to do? Jesus would want America, see, to give the descendants of slaves that lineage-based reparations that's owed to us. That's also what Jesus would want. So I'm so glad this country finally understands it's time to unite. And the proper way to unite is to pay your debt to us. God damn it. Shit. Deadbeat nation. Yo, 33 trillion. And you got to start with us first for anybody get a quarter out that 33 trillion.
Forces sniper, now country music star, is going to be joining us. He went viral over the past 24 hours for his statements about the lone wolf scenario. We're going to talk to Dallas here in just a moment. But first, we have a newsletter, a daily newsletter. We would love for all of you to subscribe to it. Go to redacted.inc. It's our way to stay connected to you because big tech doesn't own us. And so this is our opportunity to stay connected with you. We own our own email servers. And all you need to do is subscribe. You'll get the newsletter first thing in the morning, roughly, when we manage to publish it. Natalie and I write the newsletter every morning. It's a perfect way to start your day. Redacted.inc is the place to go. You'll receive a welcome email from me, which is just Clayton at redacted.inc. You just need to make sure it doesn't go to your spam folder, your junk folder, something like that. Drag it over to your inbox, and then you'll receive the newsletter tomorrow on Tuesday morning. So redacted.inc. With his comments on social media about acting alone or acting with help. And Dallas joins us now. Dallas, great to have you here on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me.
So your video, of course, where you said, I want to get into this and I want to make a statement about
that. Okay, I had his video. I was going to bring that to y'all. All right, this guy's a Canadian sniper team. They got the longest sniper. I think it's him. They got the longest sniper confirmed kill on record. This guy right here. And he came out earlier and said it definitely was a setup to hit Donald Trump.
Can you just walk us through why you decided to speak out and what you think happened?
Shooter. Yeah, I was just getting a lot of questions about it. I'm a country singer now, but I spent, like you said, a lot of time in the special operations world. And this type of operation was part of our job. So close protection and securing VIPs up to and including the Prime Minister. I'm from Canada. We protect him in Afghanistan and Iraq. So I'm very familiar with all this stuff, as well as being a sniper for almost 14 years, I guess. It just, when I saw this video, immediately, it was very fishy to me that specific rooftop was not covered. Like, there should not be a blind spot on a rooftop that's within 150 to 200 yards of the president or former president of the United States. I was actually out, and I just saw the picture on the screen come up. I couldn't really even hear what the particular news channel was saying, but immediately just from seeing the aerial photo, I'm like, that roof and the water tower would be the first two things that you look at and make sure are secure. And I feel like just even a child that plays Call of Duty would know that.
Right. A child that plays Fortnite would know that, right? You're being sniped from an area. Look for the high ground. Look for those particular spots. We now know NBC News just a few minutes ago confirmed that, in fact, according to the Secret Service, that rooftop spot was an area of, quote, concern for them days ahead of time. So this had been identified as a problem spot days ahead of time. So as a sniper, I mean, what do you make of that?
I mean, just to hear them say it, it's absurd. It's so incredibly obvious. Like, yes, it's at a range that you can just zero your rifle at, and there's a slope that makes the approach hidden for a shooter to crest over top and have clear aim at where Donald Trump is speaking. It makes absolutely no sense. And then for that to even be a news title, it's the most obvious threat spot.
So can you walk me through, as a sniper, what you're looking for in those moments? And when you saw this layout, I mean, what stood out to you? Like the two snipers that had their scopes, they're aimed at that particular spot for upwards of 3 minutes. They had them in their sights. Can you walk me through, as a sniper, what you would have been looking at?
Yeah, so from their position, I'm assuming they were seeing him slowly kind of crest over the top of that, because it looked like it was sloped away from them in the back, which covered his approach, up until his gun would have been over top and pointed out. So they were probably watching slowly to crest them. I'm sure they were looking to see if they could identify a gun or not. I think I heard something about there was some waiting for permission to fire as well. I don't know how that all works. Like, I'm not 100% sure on the rules of engagement and how they work between Secret Service and local police or anything like that. But he would have had him in his sight. I actually found the reaction a little bit strange, because if you're looking at a target ready to shoot for that long, the only thing, once you know the range, the only thing you're thinking about is like, when am I pulling this trigger, and has my wind call changed, essentially. And so there was fire, and I saw a video where he kind of reacted and pulled back off the gun, and then I think he settled in and took a shot, is what it looked like. And that was a little weird. But I mean, gunfire makes people do weird things, so I'm not saying that's suspicious. I just, as a sniper, when you have someone in your sights like that, in a moment like that, like, you are ready to pull the trigger, like, in a split second.
Of course, you've gone viral for saying that he didn't act alone. Why do you think that that's the case, that he didn't act alone?
Yeah, I just think I believe that there is no level of incompetence that could be the explanation for this. And I worked in the government forever. I know incompetence, trust me. But this is just, it's too incredibly obvious of a position. In any type of planning, I saw videos, there's tactical professionals everywhere, from Secret Service to police to tons of people there that, are in the realm of tactics like this. And that is just the most obvious position possible. And there's a lot that needs to happen for this kid to get from, I think it was his van they found, to a rooftop within 150 yards of the president, on a building that was identified as a threat, that had a ladder. Like, there's so many things. And I think I heard that the ladder was attached. But either way, when you go get ready at this property or venue before Donald Trump shows up, this is the first thing you look at, and it's the first thing you secure. So I can't wrap my head around it, or I can't even come to a conclusion that it's incompetence, because that level of incompetence, and it would have to be from every person, everyone on the ground, from the police walking around, to be like, how come no one's watching this building?
And of course, you've seen now the eyewitnesses who were shouting for minutes, letting the police know, and they're pointing. You hear President Trump speaking in the background. They're letting the police know that there is an individual climbing on that rooftop in an army crawl with a rifle. And are you guys going to do anything about it? What would have been happening behind the scenes, do you think? I mean, as you mentioned, as a sniper team protecting the Prime Minister of Canada and others, what would have been happening kind of behind the scenes on the comms channel as you're hearing from your supervisors, your superior officers, and so forth, calling out information to you? What would you have been hearing?
Yeah, I think, like, for us, between the sniper teams, you would just be communicating with the other teams, if there were other teams, who has eyes on that target. And, like, do you identify a rifle? Can you see this? Yes or no? Different positions would be calling in what they can see. And then it would, because I'm assuming this was a couple of agencies there. So it's Secret Service and police and everything. So the stuff on the ground, I can get to confusion and incompetence. Like, I've seen comms be crazy when stuff gets heated, communication breaks down. It's tough between interagencies and all of that stuff. So, like, the incompetence, once there were already shots fired, or once, the guy was ready with the gun on the roof, I can buy that. Like, I don't think every person there was just like letting this kid shoot at Donald Trump. My point is, for him to get on that roof with a rifle that close, I think someone helped there. And I'm not pointing my finger at a particular person or agency. I'm just saying someone on the inside of this thing helped or assisted or turned turned a blind eye or whatever somewhere, because to me that is impossible.
Hold on, damn it! I want
And
revolutionary salute to our brother Vincent Brown for the donation to the War Chest. Revolution is a way of life. Appreciate the love, family. Salute.
To me, it's impossible as well, and I'm not an elite sniper. But for 3 minutes, we know that this sniper, the Secret Service sniper, at first it was thought it was other agencies. I think we've now confirmed it was Secret Service snipers on that roof aimed in that direction. That for 3 minutes they had him in their sights. What would have been happening on the comms in that situation? I mean, what would you have said? I have this individual in my sights. He's not one of us. He's got a rifle. It's aimed at the president. And for 3 minutes, I mean, what would have been happening in that moment?
Oh, well, I would have pulled the trigger. Like you have, and again, I can't speak to their ROEs, but I can imagine that they have an ROE that says an armed person on a rooftop looking at, your principal, which is the former president of the United States. I can't imagine there's an ROE that says like you have to wait for him to shoot first.
Right.
So that I don't understand. Like he would have been shot. So I don't understand what they were talking about for 3 minutes. I don't see how. I could understand if you just see movement, like you can't just shoot at movement. But if there was a rifle identified, like you have to take that shot.
Well, that was going to be my next question. How powerful are the scopes you're using? I mean, initially reports were that it was about 488 yards away. We now know that it was about 150 yards away. You're using a high-powered scope on a rifle. Can you explain to me like what you would have seen? Would it have been crystal clear, or would it have been murky at a distance? As a sniper, 150 yards, is that at the edge of your...
I didn't see that's crystal clear. Any scope I've ever used. I didn't see the optics that they have, and there's things like Hot Days can have Mirage and stuff like that, especially coming off of a roof, but not at 150 yards. You will see it if you're using 10 power, 30 power, 20 power, any sniper optic. Essentially, you're going to see it. Like that's almost where you zero your gun at. Like it's crystal clear.
So 150 yards is like where you zero your gun.
You'd normally zero around 100, but you're just 50 yards past that. And with a good optic, it's a very clear picture.
Wow. So I think a lot of people wondering if this individual had help to be there, and some others, of course, speculating that he would make the perfect patsy as a loner. So sort of an outcast, the perfect patsy to be used in this situation. It does absolutely seem strange for them to have this rule of engagement to allow this person to fire first, unload 8 rounds. Can you, before I let you go, Dallas, the 8 rounds moment here, I mean, this guy gets off 8 rounds. He also has a police officer confront him on the roof. And then the police officer backs off and retreats, and then he's able to fire. How is that? What about that makes sense to you? Any of it?
No, not at all. There's a bunch of things that happen that just don't add up. And this is why I have the opinion that I have. And it starts with just this young man being able to get to that position, why it wasn't covered, there's just so many things that don't add up. That's why I hold the opinion that I do.
Yeah. I still don't understand how he gets off 8 rounds, right? Even if they were waiting for him to fire once, how quickly can a sniper team respond to just one shot, let alone 8 shots?
It's like fractions of a second.
Yeah, this whole thing is absolutely fishy to me. Dallas, thank you for taking some time out. We really, really appreciate it. And I know you're out in huge crowds all the time, singing in front of thousands of people. And to see, I'll get you out of here on this question. We've been sort of making comparisons to people who are performing on stage. I mean, that's something you do on a regular basis. The security, it seems like at those events, just a Taylor Swift concert, and there's huge bodyguards around. I mean, it seems like you guys have more security on a regular basis than what the president had coming to his assistance. Did anything that stand out to you from that regard? You've been around these big concert venues, and it seems like there's all sorts of bodyguards and protection for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, some of them, not always for me, but Yeah, I mean, that's just another fishy thing. I heard something about a request for more Secret Service and whether they got it or not. But I actually don't think the number of people there in this particular case really mattered that much. Like, that's not why I think it's fishy, even though maybe it played a part. But like, you could have 2 people securing that site, and that rooftop is going to be one of the things you focus on.
Yeah.
It's just so obvious to me that it's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, no, I think you're great. I think you're right. Absolutely. That rooftop is the subject number 1 in all of this. Dallas, thank you so much for taking some time out to speak with us. I saw your video and I said, I want to talk to this man. Thank you so much, Dallas.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dallas. I know Dallas down there in Nashville performing right now. So thanks, Dallas, for taking some time out in between concerts and all of that. Really fascinating.
Yeah, and emotionally speaking, we know it was a miss of the president, but it was a hit of an innocent civilian, and that's the thing that we cannot forget is that an innocent man died. So even if there was some kind of conspiracy to let him take the first shot, and he missed, the wrong person was hit, then the shooter was aiming for, and we just, Trump today said that he'd be attending the funeral service of the innocent civilian that was killed, and that needs to haunt us all in perpetuity. And it absolutely does.
Dives on to save his daughter's life, and to protect his daughter. Absolutely. That GoFundMe that the Trump campaign has set up now is, I think, in the millions for the victims, which is unbelievable. So that's it's a Trump campaign set up GoFundMe account to help the victims, which is unbelievable. I want to talk about some new pieces of evidence that are actually really compelling. So let's take a look. It's being called the Pac-Man perimeter. So let's take a look at this. The reason it's calling the Pac-Man perimeter is because that's exactly what it looks like. Looks like Pac-Man. How? Let's keep this up on the screen. How is the rooftop that Dallas Alexander was just talking about excluded from the Secret Service or state police security bubble that was set to be
it's literally the only thing you can climb in that radius?
Right, well,
we don't need
like
that.
He just pointed out, also you can see the water tower in that image. Like, that water tower is a pretty high vantage point where you could get a pretty good view too. Like, I mean, I'm no military sniper, but like he said, like Fortnite or just any first person shooter game, like that's where you would go.
I mean, I'd almost rather you flip the Pac-Man over so that the mouth of the Pac-Man is over the lake that's right there, the retention pond that's right there, where people in the water, right? You can flip it around and actually, let's make that a dead zone. Instead, there's a roof that's 150 yards away, and yes, a water tower that's right there. An unbelievable level of incompetence. I asked this weekend, was it?
They go in weeks, sometimes even months ahead of time to look at these places, and your main objective is what all has a vantage point on the podium. And so they look at everywhere around that area, and I'm saying like weeks or sometimes months in advance to see all the vantage points. That is a perfect vantage point right to that podium.
Yes. In fact, we used to live in Florham Park, New Jersey, and there's an airport there where President Trump would fly into when he wanted to go into his Bedminster Club. And so we would get notices that the overpasses in that area would be closed during certain days when the presidential motorcade would be going through there. So we would know we would not be able to drive over the overpasses when the president would go under. And then the airport near our house would be closed on a regular basis as well when the president was there. So this is 101. This should not be, you can't get on an overpass. You can't get above the president, basically,
Right. Yeah, I know there are some differences here on some of the lengths and distances. So I have heard from certain sources that the bullet distance was calculated at 488 yards distance. Okay. The shooter was 150 yards on this roof. So weird inconsistencies between the length of this 488 yards to 150 yards on this roof.
Wait, what do you mean? That the physics shows?
My sources are telling me that the Secret Service has calculated at least one of these shots to come from 488 yards. Now, he was on a rooftop of 150 yards.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things we don't know the answer to yet. And hopefully we'll get some clarity on this. Was that other shot fired from the water tower? Were there other shots fired beyond where this individual was located, far beyond the water tower through the line of trees? We don't know. But again, that comes from sources on the Secret Service side. So again, we're pulling these pieces together here. But I will say this, if you watch any video, over the past few days, to me, nothing is more compelling than the video you're about to see here, specifically focused on the roof location where the shooter was located, this Thomas Matthew Crooks individual on the rooftop. Now, watch this video. The reason this is so compelling is it's multiple angles combined as one video. Audio syncing between the president speaking on stage and the audio playing in the field and in the grounds where these individuals were located, in the back of the fields here, near the rooftops. So this is really, really interesting. Again, listen to this video, listen to the syncing of these different spots here, combined as one video, and you can see the folks in the back of the crowd pointing to the rooftop, and pointing that there's the shooter up on the rooftop while the president is speaking. So they're giving them multiple minutes. This is about 2 minutes long. Watch this video.
He was doing his job. I wouldn't even be doing this. I get some beautiful place with the gorgeous ocean. The
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there. See him? He's laying down. See him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
And still I'm here with you fighting to get a Senate.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look.
And it's
There he
not
is.
easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. It's much tougher than it happened.
You went on the roof
Ever. In recorded history, we're the best border. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they can do it. Do you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you?
At least did nothing.
Because these teleprompters are so damn boring. I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit over that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to look at this, you
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
We got breaking news. Coming in. Shots fired. Seems to be shots fired at the Trump rally. Need to go live right now. We are live right now at the Trump rally. We don't know if President Trump has been shot. We know he hit the ground. We do not know if President Trump has been shot. He's up. He's up. Shots are still continuing to be fired. He's giving a thumbs up, everybody. He's giving a thumbs up.
They was mad. They want that to be fake.
So just an unbelievable video. I mean, you can see the 2 minutes that we knew about this person on the rooftop being warned by bystanders, having to tell state police, and then state police were unable to then communicate with Secret Service to let them know. How is this allowed to happen? And then after this, he's still on stage after shots are fired. Then they're lifting, the Secret Service is lifting him up, allowing his head to be exposed.
Right.
Once again, while you're hearing the reporter saying shots are still being fired.
Yes.
Shots are still being fired. It's just remarkable how this was allowed to happen in 2024, that he is with that 2 minute window.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the only video you need to watch.
Right.
To understand it.
And again, I just can't not be haunted about the death we're actually seeing in real time of the innocent civilian. And you can see the people in that corner who are like, whoa, this guy's really hurting down. They don't cheer that President Trump got up. They are worried about the person who they are seeing dead on the floor. That's not to them a victory, right? And so somebody died and it was allowed to happen. And that's the thing that, you know, it was, yes, a near miss of the president, and it would have been a gruesome image for us all, but it still is gruesome for the person who died that I just can't get over.
Yeah.
Did you see that little diagram that somebody put out that showed how had his head, that he turned his head at the right moment, like it was just slightly off? It would have been a completely different conversation we'd be having today.
Yeah.
But it's also, we should now point out, it's not just him turning his head, it's the 5 mile per hour wind that was blowing, which also aided this gunshot from missing its target. So 5 mile an hour wind was maybe the difference. Him turning his head in this 5 miles per hour wind was the difference for him saving his life. We've got a lot more angles of this to cover. Don't leave. Stick around here, guys. Please subscribe to the channel. We're covering this from all angles. We're going to talk about the DEI failures here in just a moment.
Of the United States, a special edition of Judging Freedom in light of the one of the more tragic recent events in American history.
Take a look at what happened.
Hold, when you're ready, on you. Ready? Move! Up, move! Go! Up. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here, move it to the stand. Stair, get ready. Stair, get ready. You ready? Down. Down. Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move? Shooters down. We're good to move. We're clear. We're clear.
Ray McGovern and Larry Johnson join us now. Gentlemen, I didn't think we'd be seeing each other today, but tragedy strikes when you least expect it. Even though I'm in this land of wonderful fresh food, my stomach has been in a knot since I woke up Sunday morning here and learned from a text from my brother Jim what had happened on Saturday evening. So Larry, let's start with you. If you can give us a little bit of a ballistics background. How do you think this 20-year-old got across an open field and up to a rooftop where he had a clear shot at the former president of the United States, who supposedly was being protected by a large cadre of Secret Service agents and officers?
It looks like the police that were assigned out in that area assumed that he was a Secret Service, assumed that he was some type of law enforcement, because otherwise they say, oh, nobody, because apparently he had a shirt on that appeared to be, let's call it a military shirt, green, with a U.S. flag patch on his right shoulder. So, I think it's highly likely they just assumed he was part of the crew, because he wasn't carrying a cased, a firearm that was put inside of a case. He was carrying it out in the open. I mean, that he should have been stopped. Number one, right there. That's just the beginning of the screw ups here. And I, as I've said repeatedly over the last couple of days, I don't know if this is utter incompetence or if this is part of a deliberate plot. There's no other explanation for it. That either they deliberately tried to set up Trump to kill him, or this was just a reflection of how utterly incompetent the Secret Service is.
Ray, is there an attitude or an ideology in any of America's law enforcement or intelligence communities that would either look the other way or set up the former president of the United States because they fear his second term in office?
The answer is very clearly yes. There is plenty of evidence of that, and it goes back 9 or 10 years. And the bottom line is that the FBI has been thoroughly corrupted by people for 8 years running, or people working pretty much for the Democratic National Committee and Democratic Party. I can prove that if you just look at the other investigations that the FBI was supposed to make, like on Russiagate, Russian hacking in the DNC. They never did one. They farmed it out to a contractor, and he came back with negative conclusions. There was no hacking at the DNC. Fast forward to when an FBI lawyer falsified documents in an application for a FISA warrant, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrant, a felony, okay? Now what happened? Well, Chuck Grassley, who used to head up various committees to supervise the FBI, he wrote this tweet, which I've committed to memory, but I'm going to read it to you anyway, okay? Here's Grassley, a tweet in his own hand. Very rare that the Department of, quote, just us, end quote, all right? Not justice, just us. Very rare that this department would recommend jail time for one of its own. That was for this fellow, Kevin Kleinsmith, who falsified the FISA application. Now, Grassley, but they did recommend jail time for Kleinsmith, the former FBI attorney who falsified the paperwork to spy on Trump and prop up phony collusion probe violations. He violated the civil liberties of Carter Page. Now, it's outrageous that the DC judge gave no prison time to this fellow, Kevin Kleinsmith.
Okay.
So, first sentence again, very rare that the Department of Just Us will do anything according to the Constitution. What they're doing is covering up for FBI, other crimes, and of course, you know who the president has appointed to direct this independent investigation, right? You got it, the FBI. So, yeah, I'm really sorry to answer your question in the affirmative. Yeah, it's been so subverted, so corrupted that we can't really depend on the FBI to do an independent investigation.
Larry, how did this 20-year-old get across a field with a long gun and climb up a ladder? How did the ladder get there? How did he get to the roof?
Yeah, well, these are the questions that really, to me, indicate that he had some support.
Let me stop you for just a second. I want you to answer. Chris, can you put up the photo from NBC News, which might help Larry talk? So where does he start? Does he start on the lower left where the green is?
Yeah, so
Larry?
he starts to the left of where it says Butler Farm Showgrounds. To the left of that, he'd park back out there and then walked over to this building. Now, this collection of buildings, if you look at it, this shows that this had been planned in advance. There was no way that he knew on the day of, oh yeah, this is where I can get access to climb up on that roof, and I'm going to have a direct line of sight to the stage where Donald Trump's going to be.
Do you think he was probably up there before Saturday, scoping out what his site would be?
Yeah, either he was or somebody else he was working with. I don't think this was a lone wolf. I think definitely he was involved with some other people, both the placement of the ladder, the planning of getting there, but because you had no way of predicting that you would necessarily have a clear line of sight unless you'd done some prior advance work. But I mean, this goes back to the problem of how did he know that the Secret Service wasn't going to have people up on that roof, which they should have. That was the only elevated structure around that ground where Donald Trump was speaking that would have required a counter sniper team or somebody up there just to secure it, to make sure that nobody got up there.
How many human beings were there protecting Trump? Federal, not local or state. That's probably not even known. How big was the Secret Service team protecting him that day? You have uniformed guys, you have SWAT team guys, and you have the guys and gals in business suits.
Probably about 50. I mean, you had the ones in the suits, and then you also had the tactical guys that they're supposed to do the perimeter security. They showed up in all the ninja gear later after this.
And nobody was up on the rooftop, which was the highest structure visible to Trump and the best place for a killer or potential killer to perch himself. No federal agent was up there.
Correct. See, Judge, when the Secret Service sends somebody out in advance, they do an advanced survey. And that survey, both they check the entrances and exits for the actual building or site that they're going to have the speech. And then they extend the perimeter around let's say around 500 yards, because they want to look for anything in that 500-yard area, the circle, 360 degrees, that could present a position from which somebody might shoot the president. And so you go out and you literally climb up on top of the buildings and you look and you establish line of sight. Well, if they either failed to do that or they did it and just said, never mind, we don't need anybody up there. Wow. Or we'll just put our counter sniper team up on this behind Trump, and they'll aim out there, be ready to take out anybody, which, as we saw, didn't work. So this was, like I said, this is either utter incompetence. This is so substandard of performance, or this was done deliberately to create a vulnerability so that somebody could kill Trump.
Chris, put up the email from the local police officer. Ray McGovern, I want you to comment on this. I'm going to read it aloud. So we're looking at a full screen. We see a photo of a police officer with a high-powered rifle. He has published this photo himself, along with the following email. My name is Jonathan Willis, W-I-L-L-I-S. I'm the officer in the famous photo of the two snipers on the roof at Trump's rally. I came here to inform the public that I had the assassin in my sights for at least 3 minutes, but the head of the Secret Service refused to give the order to take out the perp. 100%. The top brass prevented me from killing the assassin before he took the shots at President Trump. Ray McGovern, this cop either is lying, in which case he should be prosecuted, or is telling the truth, in which case the top brass of the Secret Service or whoever it is that prevented him from doing his job should be prosecuted.
Well, I don't think he's lying. There's no real motive or incentive for someone like this to come forward like that. He identifies himself as an officer. I really would like to know which police or federal force he belongs to. But here he is. He's a witness. Where is he right now? I don't know. How about the red-haired guy? The red-haired guy who saw the person on the roof and shouted at the Homeland Security people, the Secret Service, and the FBI, couldn't get any attention. How about him? Where is he? I sure hope that they're in witness protection and that it's not run by the FBI. This is very serious stuff. What else could I say? Not much.
All right. Well, let me ask you about intelligence, Ray. Every keystroke, every photograph, every fiber, holding up my iPhone, every fiber optic data that comes into or goes out of this, not because it's me, but everyone in the United States is being surveilled by the NSA. If this kid went up there and took photos or took measurements or communicated or sent himself any notes, wouldn't those people who capture, who invade our privacy 24/7 have known about it?
They would have, Judge. The problem is, would they be free to say what they know? Now, there's a long history to this. The NSA, who does most of this, knew that there was no such thing as a hack against the Democratic National Committee. They would have had evidence of that, and they had none. So there's a long history of the FBI being protected by the NSA and other people in the so-called security state. So it comes as no surprise. Now, what does this also betoken? Well, the FBI let itself be used in October of 2020 to pretend that Tucker, Vice President, that Biden's son, okay, his laptop was a Russian intelligence operation. The FBI had the computer, had his laptop, and they let these 51 former intelligence directors lie, and so that Trump could raise that at the last debate in 2020, and Biden could say, "Oh, Mr. Trump, don't you know that 51 former heads of the, including 4 heads of the CIA."
Right. Larry, is the level of protection, Larry, for Donald Trump the same level of protection as there is for Joe Biden?
Oh no. It's probably 50% less, maybe even more.
Is that standard? Is it the same 50% less for Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and George W. Bush?
No, well, actually, probably Clinton and Obama right now they will have less security around them than Trump does. But what we do know for a fact from Dan Bongino has been in touch with other Secret Service buddies. The Trump campaign had requested updates, additional resources, and those were denied by the Director of Secret Service with the full participation of Mayorkas, the Director of Homeland Security. And note as well, they have completely denied up to this point any Secret Service protection for RFK Jr. That is absolutely unconscionable. So, but again, it's not so much the numbers; it's the fact that the leaders, the failure of the leadership. Because I think that the message you just read from the police officer, my understanding is that there was radio traffic. So those officers who are up on the roof were communicating back to what the TOC, which stands for a Tactical Operations Center. So they literally have an operations center that's set up with computers, radios, so that they can, and the television screens, so they can see the area, they can monitor, they can communicate back and forth. And that officer up on the roof was requesting permission to shoot well before that. They had the suspect in their sight. He says 3 minutes. I'll take him at his word. You can see on video it was at least 2 minutes. And what people need to understand,
when he is asking, here's my read from what you just said, Larry. When this officer Willis is asking whoever he reports to in Secret Service for permission to take the assassin out. Other police are privy to that conversation. Other
Correct.
police at the scene, meaning CIA, and meaning Secret Service snipers, in addition to local police or Pennsylvania State Police. Again, we still don't know who this fellow worked for. Would be privy to the same conversation. Wouldn't you think they would be as astounded as he was that permission was denied?
Yeah, no, not necessarily. The local police, say state police, sheriff's department, they would not necessarily have access to that communications channel. So the snipers would have a dedicated channel back to the officer in charge, and they were requesting permission to shoot. And again, here's the failure. At that point, if they said, well, we're not sure if that's a friendly local or whatever, don't shoot, they still should have taken action to get Trump off the stage until they verified what was what. That's another failure that took place. But what people need to understand is that you can see that officer, when you look at the video, he's looking through the scope, then he raises his head up to look downrange, because when he's looking through the scope, he's only seeing, he's probably seeing like this part of the target, of the shooter, and nothing else. And so he's wanting to make sure he's on target. And then all of a sudden they hear the shots and they fire. There's no way that you could hear shots and then try to get on a scope to find and locate it and get shots off in the time they did, unless they already had him targeted. They knew he was there. And so the question is, why did the person in charge of Secret Service that day not allow action to be taken against what was clearly a threat?
Chris, do we have a photo of the, I don't know if it's in the video or if we don't have it, of the female Secret Service officer who appears to be ducking rather than protecting the president? I don't know if she was going for his shoes, because he kept saying, where are my shoes? Where are my shoes? He may have been in a state of shock and thought that he had lost his shoes. He may actually have lost his shoes because they tackled him with such ferocity in order to knock him down. It's a little odd, this photo that's circulating out there of the female officer who's not using her body to protect the president. She's ducking herself. Where does this go now, Ray McGovern? Who investigates this? The FBI is going to investigate the Secret Service? That's not going to be a credible investigation, is it?
Well, the president says that the FBI, come on, no conspiracy theories. The FBI, let them do their job with thorough, swift investigation, quote, end quote. Well, okay. So where is this Jonathan Willis? In whose custody is he? He's the fellow who was on the rooftop. At the very least, given what he said and what that red-haired Trump supporter said about the fellow on the roof, to the BBC, mind you, at very least, the head of the Secret Service, and I would suggest the head of Homeland Security, and everyone up and down the line, to include the person in charge of the local security there at that event, should be fired, or at least placed in administrative leave, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Trump has on Biden is he never fires anybody. And instead, Biden is thanking the Secret Service, thanking the FBI for getting on us and doing a swift and a thorough investigation. Where have we heard that before?
Chris, let me see that picture again that you just had up there, the still. Maybe my criticism of her was too harsh. She may be supporting the former president's body. Look, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 agents trying to get him off the stage. He wants to show the public there and the world that though he's bloodied, he's still alive. So maybe my criticism of her was not warranted. Larry?
Well, no, it's not unfounded. Look, the problem is, even in this photo, it's an iconic moment. It's going to live in history, like right up there with the Marines raising the flag on Iwo Jima, that kind of thing.
Right.
But the Secret Service screwed up there. You should not have been able to see Donald Trump. Their job is to get him off the stage without anybody then being able to see. Because how do you know there wasn't another shooter? If there had been another shooter, then they've got a direct target right at Trump. And so this was, now I think the female agent there, she was going down to recover a hat or something of Trump's that had fallen to the ground. But again, this is the current director of the Secret Service put an emphasis upon having a lot more women involved. And if you watch some of the women who are out there, they're too short, and their muzzle discipline, their firearms discipline, how they're handling their handguns. Good God, they're pointing it at people. And it's okay to point it at somebody if you think they're a threat, but just having it carelessly in your hand and moving it around, and not controlling that muzzle, again, that's just sloppiness on their part.
Trump appeared to have his arm around the woman as they were going down the steps. Chris, put the photo of the local police officer, Jonathan Willis, and his email up there again. The police officer who said he asked for permission to take out the assassin there. Now, Larry, can you or your ex-FBI sniper buddies tell who he is and who he worked for from the garb, the uniform that he's wearing, and the equipment that he has? They got a lot of equipment up there, whoever this cop is.
Yeah, I mean, the question that, my buddy Chris Whitcomb, Chris was a FBI hostage rescue team sniper, very accomplished shooter. And the thing that puzzled him was why they set up this tripod, because, normally he said the counter snipers want to be in a prone position. It's possible he was from a local, say, a Pittsburgh SWAT team, local police. Or in fact, you can't tell by his uniform whether he was part of the Secret Service or part of local police.
All right. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. This is a tragedy of monumental proportions. I have not hesitated to criticize Donald Trump where I thought his behavior and his words were not consistent with the Constitution of the United States. I think he's wrong on Gaza. He's wrong on surveillance. He's wrong on debt. He's a human being. He interviewed me twice for the Supreme Court of the United States. He has hugged and kissed me a half dozen times. And to me, what happened on Saturday was sickening.
Judge,
just as sickening are the cries to tamper with the Second Amendment, which we'll talk about the next time we're on together.
Let me
say.
Oh, people, we are calling them out. We are poking holes in their narrative, and they know it. They know this time they have been exposed. When I talk about they, of course, I am talking about the powers that be, certain three-letter agencies, organizations like BlackRock, those who put the scripts together for these events. Yesterday, I uploaded a video titled, Shocking, Trump Rally Shooting Suspect in a Commercial. Thomas Matthew Crooks, the man behind the incident at Trump's rally, or supposedly the man behind the incident at Trump's rally, was seen in a BlackRock commercial. Now, credit where credit's due, I did not find this commercial. Those who had found this commercial were on platforms like Twitter and Reddit. I just made the video. But as more and more people had noticed and made videos on this subject, word got around, and eventually it got right back to BlackRock. And BlackRock realized they messed up. BlackRock said, oops, we did not pick up all our cookie crumbs, so now the trail is leading right back to us. Upon the realization, BlackRock deletes the 2022 ad featuring the supposed man behind the Trump rally incident, Thomas Matthew Crooks. Even though I know the man behind the incident was Maxwell Yerrick, nobody, and I mean nobody, will make me believe any differently. Now, answer me this. When Secret Service popped that man on the roof and they collected his DNA sample,
That same day, they got a hit back, that hit being Thomas Matthew Crooks. Yet they said Thomas Matthew Crooks has no criminal record. He has no history whatsoever. So how did they get a hit back that quickly, the same day, within hours? Where did they get Thomas Matthew Crooks' DNA from? But anyway, I'm sidetracking. BlackRock Incorporated, the world's largest money manager, and they have their hands in everything, even the C19 pharmaceuticals. I mean, they are deep in everything. Has pulled an ad that briefly featured Thomas Crooks, the 20-year-old who supposedly shot and wounded former President Donald Trump at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. The company did.
That's not no coincidence. BlackRock is after $20 trillion in Ukraine. Trump already said he's going to try to end that Ukraine war, meaning they're not getting their hands on the 20 trillion. Putin had already seized 10 of the trillion by the land that he has already seized. So BlackRock was trying to at least cut their losses and get their hand on the other 10 that Zelensky sitting on. And Trump is in the way.
Indeed confirmed Crooks was a student at Bethel Park High School and appeared in the 2022 ad with other unpaid teens. Thankfully, we have screen recorded that commercial because this New York Post article is trying to make it seem like Thomas Crooks was just caught in the background. He had a brief scene in the background. No, he did not. He had two scenes, and one of the scenes was by himself, and he was up close. BlackRock gave a statement by saying, in 2022, we ran an ad featuring a teacher from Bethel Park High School in which several unpaid students briefly appeared in the background, including Thomas Matthew Crooks. Crooks graduated the same year the commercial aired from Bethel Park High, where he was one of a dozen students who received National Math and Science Initiative Star Awards, according to the Pittsburgh Tribune.
People point out, they keep talking about schools he went to, talking to his old classroom, people he went to school with. The man was 20-something years old, graduated from a college, from a community college. Also, they're not talking about. And the man had a job where he worked. Why did not talking to his coworkers? That's a grown man. Why did not talking to his coworkers? Why did not talking to people that he was at so-called college with?
Tribune Review. BlackRock noted that while the ad has been removed from circulation, it is still available for investigators to review and is being circulated on social media. Well, of course, it's still available for investigators to review because almost all of us have recorded that commercial. The article says that today, Monday, BlackRock condemns the incident that happened on Saturday. The article also says that the company did not immediately respond to the Post request for additional comments. Now, the article does end with BlackRock, which oversees an estimated $9.1 trillion in assets, has garnered backlash in the wake of previous shootings in the United States, as some of its index funds own shares in gun manufacturers. I was willing to leave the whole commercial thing alone because clearly that was Thomas Matthew Crooks in that commercial. But given the fact that BlackRock had deleted the commercial, they look more guilty than ever. BlackRock stated the reason why they removed the video from circulation was out of respect for the victims, as we really believe that. They just wanted to take the conversation away from themselves, but this does more harm than good for BlackRock. This really does look suspicious now. If we believe that BlackRock has their hand in everything, and I am sure they do, then without a doubt, they have their hand in programs such as MK Ultra. These are MK Ultra victims. Make sure to go check out my previous video where I prove that it was not Thomas Matthew Crooks on the roof, but Maxwell Yerrick. And they are so deep in it now, they cannot change the narrative. So now they have to build a narrative when it comes to Thomas Crooks. Now, guess what they are saying? This article by the Daily News was dropped an hour ago. Now they are saying Trump shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks was acting strangely ahead of rally as motive elusive. Isn't that funny? The whole time they were saying there were absolutely no red flags. They don't know why he went ahead and did what he did. They could not find any history on this man. This man has no social media history. And yet, out of nowhere, now he's acting strangely days before what took place at the rally. Isn't that something? Why was he acting strangely all this time after they said he had exhibited no red flags? I don't know. I have to register to the Daily News to find out. and I really don't feel like registering at the moment. But like I said, they will slowly build a narrative for this man now. He is a build-a-bear narrative. Thomas Crooks was going to be used in another narrative, another agenda, a school pow-pow. This is why his background involves school bullying. He was being picked on because of his clothes. He was a loner. This is the MO of every person that has caused a school pow-pow. Look at the very suspicious interviews where news and media are interviewing Thomas Matthew Crooks' classmates, and they look like they were heavily coached on what to say. This is indeed getting more and more wild, and I wouldn't doubt one bit that that commercial was some sort of predictive programming for that school pow-pow where the suspect was intended to be Thomas Matthew Crooks. There are those of you that are saying, well, if Secret Service took out Maxwell Yerrick, then where is Thomas Matthew Crooks? Well, since Thomas Matthew Crooks is no longer of use and he would blow their cover, I am sure he was easily disposed of. So the question should be, where is Thomas Matthew Crooks and where is Maxwell Yerrick? If they are running with the narrative that that was indeed Thomas Matthew Crooks on the roof, then can Maxwell Yerrick step up and give us some proof of life? We have multiple big-time news agencies running articles how it's misinformation to say that Maxwell Yerrick is the man behind the incident. So I am sure Maxwell Yerrick is seeing these articles as well. His name is plastered all over news and media. So can he come out and give a statement that he is still alive? I am willing to eat my words. I am willing to make a video saying that I am wrong. If he can make a statement, come out on video and make a statement that he was not the man on the roof, I will make a video saying I was wrong. Matter of fact, I will take it a step further. If Maxwell Yerrick can make a video and it is Maxwell Yerrick, it looks like Maxwell Yerrick, if he can make a video, which is easy to do, and say that he's still alive, he was not the man on the roof, then I will delete my channel. I am that sure it was Maxwell Yerrick on the roof. But the stipulation is it cannot look like AI. It cannot look like Kate Middleton's Mother's Day photo. It has to look like an actual person in the video, and it has to look like Maxwell Yerrick. Thank you so much.
Jones is with us. He's the only guy that I could really think of that I wanted to talk to about this and what's going on.
And that's you and I coming out the fact that we've been married for 10 years.
We've been married for 10 years and we get all the state benefits that come with it. What do you think this is a weird time in our country. You've been saying and warning people about stuff like this, whatever happened, you've been saying there's going to be violence in this election.
Yeah, I mean, I joked around. You're one of my favorite comedians. I love you.
Thank you.
I watch your show every week. So is my wife. So is the crew. We love you, Tim. We love your crew. I just want to be 100% clear. Okay. Yeah. I'm not trying to be dramatic here on air. I am literally telling you what I believe is going on. And so here's the bottom line. Everybody's getting into grassy knoll and shots and ballistics and trajectory. The Secret Service, even if he only has 20 people, because Biden cut it down to nothing, he wouldn't give RFK Jr., whose father and uncle were both murdered by the government, any Secret Service. So that's by default serious negligence going on, deliberate negligence to get him killed. So Trump's got 20 Secret Service. Doesn't matter. All the local police work for them and want to work for Trump. So they were told by the advance team, this has come out, not to be on the roofs of 4 buildings 450 feet away that a Boy Scout, a 10-year-old could make that shot, okay? So there was a default stand down, just like in 63 in Dallas. And Kennedy said, I'm pulling out 100,000 troops a month. In 4 months, the 400,000 troops that were in Vietnam are going to be gone. Trump said, I'm going to end this war. I'm going to cut off funding the Ukraine war. And so Biden's really collapsed, and then they don't put anybody on the roof, which again is the number one place you go, and the number one place. I mean, if out to a half mile, if there's water towers where a president or a top candidate speaking, they go and put people on the water tower because that's a place to take a shot. 450 feet away, literally a 10-year-old can hit bullseye at 450 feet. Okay, I've shot mountain goats at 1,200 yards, but most people can't shoot like that. But we're talking at 450 feet. But the round that the guy fired was so lightweight, a little bit of wind can blow it. Cold bore, it can always shoot a little bit to the left. But the point is, it was 1/2 inch away from hitting Trump right in the temple and killing him. Shot right through his ear, right here. And so that's one issue. This was not a mistake. This was not a screw up. This was premeditated. But yes, I've been on air like a parrot saying they're going to kill Trump or try to kill him. And when they kill him or try to kill him, all hell is going to break loose. So I want to be 100% clear. Now the deep state set this up, brought in the shooter, protected him, put him up there. That's all 100% fact. Don't be naive. People debate that stuff all day. The default is put people on rooftops within a half mile. This is 450 feet away. This is preposterous. This was the default set position. Like this is like putting salt water in your gas tank or not putting gas in your car. You have a newborn baby, you throw it in the pool. It's not a mistake. It's done on purpose. The low-level Secret Service, is not their fault. They followed orders. No one is on 4 rooftops, 450 feet away.
Who is giving that order? Who is telling them don't be on the rooftops, do you think? If you had to guess.
We know that,
right.
We know.
Okay.
That is the senior advanced team of the Secret Service.
And that is that there's a name.
So the senior
this woman, I forget her name. She's testifying. The Republicans have just called her to testify in front of
Mayorkas is the head of all that. I think he's the head of he's supposed to be the head of the border, might be a Homeland Security or what, but he's Mayorkas. He's a small hat. He hates Trump too. He's a small hat. You know, him and Blinken them, they really run the government.
In front of Congress. I forget her name, but she is the head of the Secret Service. Do you know her name, Alex? I'm forgetting her name.
Yeah, it's another one of these diversity hires. So
right.
we saw a bunch of women with guns didn't protect Trump, but it's beyond that. The number one thing, if you study the Secret Service, this is all well known. It's in all the Secret Service movies, but it's the default. Any rooftops within a half mile you clear and you have people on top of them. It doesn't matter they didn't have enough Secret Service. You put cops on top of the roofs, that nobody can do that. Instead, about 2 minutes before Trump gets shot in the ear, there's video of this. It's all over X. They clear everybody out from behind Trump as they hear dozens of witnesses have been on the news that said there's a guy with a gun on the building.
Right,
so they run around for minutes going, yeah. There's a guy, exactly. There's a guy on the roof with a gun, and they sit there and fumble and watch. But the local SWAT teams waited, and they're on their radios with their guns trained on him, and they're like not told to take the shot. So there wasn't just a stand down, not putting people on top of the buildings, which is the first thing you do. That's where the shots come from, not up close. In every case, 95% of the time, they then have got it's all on video. The shooter, as he's up there with a rifle, crawling around and getting a prop position, and they're told to stand down for about 2 minutes. So we're talking about 120 seconds. This is like a lifetime, because in real situations, you got a shooter, you got a guy with a gun, you blast him. So everybody having a debate about and hearings and why this happened, that's all a distraction. So moving on from that, Trump beat all the fake impeachments. He beat the Russiagate. He beat the fake civil cases. He got found guilty, but nobody bought it. They were popular. He got convicted in the New York show trial. That gave him an extra 10 points. In real national scientific polls that are being conducted, and I've talked to the Republican Party that's doing these, Trump's about 25 points ahead nationwide. In mainstream news, they say 15 points. In battleground states, he's 10 to 15 points ahead. With dead people out of district, that's not enough. Maybe they can steal a 5-point lead. You can't steal a 10-point lead. You can't steal a 15-point lead. So even in New York, he's now in play. Places like Michigan, 10 points ahead. Pennsylvania, 10 points ahead. Georgia, 15 points ahead. Arizona, 15 points ahead. They can't steal that. So they're in total collapse. They're trying to remove Biden. So you change the subject by killing Trump, and then who is the nominee 1 week before he goes to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for the RNC. So now that they shot at the king and missed, and he's even more popular and they're more desperate, as I said 3 years ago, as Tucker said years ago, as I've said on air, and as I've personally told Trump, I'll leave it at that. I said, sir, 6 months ago, I said, you are on a trajectory where you've beaten all this. The next thing is assassination. That's why he has the Secret Service. To act like that isn't an issue. Remember, Forbes was saying last night, oh, there was an incident, a backfire of a car or something. They were, shut that down, guys. So they are literally trying to sell you that none of this happened, that there wasn't even assassination. They tried that for like 6-7 hours yesterday, showing you how incredibly disgusting all this is and how the fix is in. So I told you literally like a parrot on methamphetamine what was going to happen in the last couple of years. Now let me tell you the rest of the moves the deep state has.
Please.
He's trying to pull the troops out. Thank you. He's trying to pull the troops out of Ukraine. The U.S. funds 83% of the funding that's public. Trump, people say, oh, Trump can't kill this. He can't stop this. The hell he can't. He's the commander in chief. So Kennedy tried to pull out the troops. He pulled out 100,000 and he was dead a month later in 63. So here's what the deep state needs to do. Everybody's against him. The whole world's waking up to him. They want to kill, I'll be very slow here. They want to kill Trump now even more because this just gave him 20 points. He's not, all these Democrats that are now voting Trump, he's not going to win by 10 points. He's going to win by 30 points. This is a major political realignment. He got shot in the side of the head, perfect hole right through his ear, quarter inch over, right in the temple. This is so epic. So what is the deep state going to do? I study clandestine operations. I study all this stuff. I had a lot of family worked in this, and I'm not talking about pencil pushing areas of government. I'm talking about overthrow of government people, okay? And they told me all this stuff when I was a kid. So here's what's going to go down. They've got, the deep state has truck bombs loaded in Florida. They have truck bombs, in my opinion, loaded in Wisconsin. And if they don't block the roads off a half mile from Mar-a-Lago with serious concrete dividers, if they don't block off Wisconsin, which Trump said, screw it, I'm going there tomorrow. If they don't do that, the next move is roll a truck full of plastic explosives into the event. They're also going to try to poison him. They got people inside his organization. So poisoning, truck bombs, shootings is all in the works. Also, they've been pre-programming cyber attacks by the Russians, claiming they're working with Trump supporters. The FBI already put out reports last year saying the Russians working with Trump supporters are going to cut the U.S. power off. No, the desperate deep state. So cyber attacks, power outages, truck bomb attacks, but it gets worse. They will also, and this is totally,
I love how you go, you go truck bombs, power outages, and then you go, and it gets worse.
He ain't lying.
Like it's crazy.
Everybody know, man, Alex Jones, man. People think this nigga was crazy, man. Me too at first. A lot of that shit came true. He not lying. He was the godfather of a lot of that shit.
Crazy to think about getting it. And I understand what you're saying. It's so wild to think about this. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I want to be 1,000,000,000% clear.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this for sensational reasons.
No, for sure.
Okay. I want to be all I do is study this. So this is the normal threat continuum. So on the ladder, indictments, civil stuff, garbage, impeachments, take them off the ballot. And so next is assassination. So if you're a deep state and you shoot at the king, you miss, what's next? You don't just try to blow the king up with a truck bomb. You don't just try to poison his food. That's just standard procedure in history. You then attack black churches, black colleges with truck bombs or mass shooters. So the truck bomb's great when you're desperate because you don't even have to wind up a shooter. You just do it and claim a Trump supporter did it. So they have already said, Senator Blumenthal that's run the attacks on me and others have said, they've introduced the legislation that when he's president-elect, because it's not just 112 days of the election, or 113. It's that in that 79 days from the early November to January 20th, when he gets inaugurated, that 79 days, the Democrats have said there's going to be massive civil unrest. And when Trump tries to call up the National Guard under the Insurrection Act, they've introduced a bill to strip him of that power, which is a coup against the executive. So they've already, I'm going for hours. They've pre-programmed all of this where they're going to stage attacks on black people. That's all pre-programmed.
He ain't lying. They said they Trump-proofed a lot of legislation. He's telling the truth to where he cannot reverse anything or he will be impeached or all kind of other type of shit, which is undemocratic because the people voted for Trump, then that means Trump has a mandate to do the will of the people, not the will of what these dirty politicians.
And all the shows, all the movies, everything, say Trump supporters are behind it, and they believe that will trump, pun intended, everything Trump is saying, everything Trump is doing. So
you think they'll try to start some type of race war or massive civil unrest based on like a false flag attack that's may not be an assassination, but is just to destabilize the public and to just introduce chaos into the process?
Yeah, let's be clear, Tim. I don't think I know.
Right.
You have to understand, there's a Rand Corporation 34-step ladder they've had since the 50s that's been updated that shows how nuclear war starts. We're at like 29 in Ukraine.
Right.
So this stuff has all been ridiculously working. So it's not that I'm that smart. I know about Operation Gladio when the Russians took over most of Europe.
Come on now.
The West staged terror attacks, and I hate the communists. I mean, I had family involved in Gladio. You know,
I learned about
Gladio. On the periphery, I'll leave it at that. So the point is, I know about all this. Like if your dad's a mechanic, you know how to fix a diesel engine. Okay, so I know about the stuff. So the West had stay-behind networks when the Russians took over part of Eastern Europe and part of Western Europe, like Germany, East Germany. They had groups that staged terror attacks and blamed on the Russians. And the Russians did similar stuff, but the West was so good at it with Hollywood, the media, Operation Gladio. So this is Gladio 2.0. They just shot the Slovakian president 5 times. He lived. They're trying to kill Viktor Orban. He's trying to stop World War III. We are in direct war with Russia. And Trump is saying the military-industrial complex, I'm not doing that. This is stupid for business. He doesn't feel powerful killing people. He doesn't think war is sexy because he's not a pussy. So I'm telling you, the default is truck bombs, poison Trump, shoot him if they can, and then separately stage terror attacks against the pre-programming's there. It's black people. They're going to hit black people with massive terror attacks. I mean, we may have hundreds dead at a church, hundreds dead at a college, and they're going to say a Trump supporter did it. Now, that's their next move. Do they got the guts to pull it? I think they do.
What is your read on what happened with Biden? What is happening with Biden? What is happening in the Democratic Party? What do you think is going on since that debate? What do you feel like is happening, and what do you think ends up happening with him?
Well, I got banned twice. They first banned me 6 years ago, then 4 years ago. I'm not trying to write myself a story. It's just true.
Him and Farrakhan at the same
12 people, the headline was, labeled as dangerous persons by Facebook.
He sat down and did an interview with Farrakhan. I seen it. Very good interview. I might have to play that on here one day. And that's when the plot went in, because they didn't want them two audiences to come. They didn't want them two audiences to come together and see eye to eye about the government. And then in one swoop, the government banned Alex Jones and they banned Farrakhan. No information could be spread.
And
they couldn't have no channels, no outlets, no
myself, 2 of my reporters, 12 people were listed as dangerous persons. And they said, people can look this up. It doesn't sound real, folks. I swear to God, it's real. Look it up. You just look up 12 people banned under dangerous persons by Facebook. And it said, you're allowed to call for violence against these 12 evil people because they're so bad, they're so dangerous, they're so evil. We had lawyers call them. They took it down after a month. It was insane. But people saw the rules of service. They said, well, we're going to kill you. They came to my office. I had to get security, it's been insane. Now, the reason I raised that is, what was your first? I went down a rabbit hole.
About Biden and about what do you think is going to happen and what's your read on that? I mean, that's obviously this terrible story that happened to Trump. But before that, the big story was, Biden being a corpse.
Out of his mind. So I remember now.
Yeah.
Why did they ban me? Look it up. I said Biden's had multiple strokes. Biden has had all sorts of medical issues. And so he is out of his mind. He is completely crazy. He needs to not run. So this is right when he was running. That's their excuse.
Truth, man.
And that's why they took me off the internet, was saying 5-6 years ago that he was out of his mind. So that's their only, move. And Biden has had multiple brain surgeries. Biden is completely out of his mind. He can't operate after 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And so they don't know what to do. And so because they waited so long, they don't have runway to replace him now. Congressionally and constitutionally, he has the $90+ million the DNC has. Kamala Harris has it. So they waited so long. He was supposed to already step down. Because he won't step down, they don't have a way to make him step down. And so out of pure panic, they're like, my God, Trump's 20 points ahead. What do? We kill him. We kill Trump. And so that's what's happening is that Biden has no idea what he's doing. He is completely living on another planet. And so that's why I'm trying to explain to people, we are in a constitutional total and complete crisis. Okay?
I've talked to more people, over the last few days, like you said, that are really panicked, and they're not people that you would think, right? I mean, these are, very successful people. They are smart people, and they feel like we're in a complete, we're spiraling out of control, and they look at this attempt at Trump's life, and it's terrifies people. And by the way, these are not hysterics. These are not people that they ignored a lot of stuff up until this point, but I'm sure you've talked to some of them too that are texting me. Liberals, Alex, liberals, Democrats are texting me going, what the fuck is going on? It's not just conservatives. Liberals are going, I'm panicked. What is this?
Well, exactly, Tim. That's such an important thing to say. I want to be clear to all the people out there. I was arrested by George W. Bush.
Right.
I'm a classical liberal. Everybody knows that who's followed me. Okay. I hated George Bush. I protested the war. Democrats used to be overall better than Republicans until Obama came along and, he said, I'm really good at killing people with drones. And so the Democratic Party is now owned by BlackRock. They're owned by the big banks. The Republicans are just as bad, except Trump and our libertarian movement got a beachhead to Ron Paul, who started all this, and Rand Paul in the Republican Party. So our beachhead has taken over about 55% right now. That's why they're panicked, Republican Party. Because once we get full control of one party, we can reform the other. We need a debate. We need a discussion. My God, the Democratic Party used to be against the CIA and against wars and against surveillance and against censorship. Now they love it.
They love it.
And so they love it. So my thing to liberals is, listen, guys, I'm not some ultra right-wing guy that wants to put you in jail because you're gay or whatever. That is all a lie, folks. And Trump's not that. Trump is a casino and hotel and golf course owner. And he's a hospitality guy. And he's all about what makes money for people makes him money. He's all about good times, man. Trump is all about good times. He's optimistic. He wants to have prosperity. He wants to bring jobs back. And the globalists want austerity to consolidate power under the central bank digital currency, under the ESGs, under the social credits.
I never knew who when he said the globalists, I used to think to my wife, no. He talking about the small hats. And they finally realized he's talking about them in bandits ass. But they probably already knew he just ran his course. But he talking about the small hats. Whenever he say the globalists, you can go back and listen to anything he said. He talking about the small hats. He always been talking about them. Talking about whenever, and they tell you that too. The Zionists, they got smart, and they say anytime people say the international bankers, they talking about them, and that's anti-Semitic.
Credit score. So that's why they're mad at Trump. Is he went to China and said half the money goes to middlemen? China loved him actually at the end. He said, you can keep the money and we get half of it to our workers. So Trump is literally in the people's corner in that he is a hotel owner,
right?
A casino owner, and he wants money.
He wants
success.
He wants to. I truly believe, listening to him, he wants standards of living to go up. And I think that there's a lot of people
because his whole life, where does he make money, Tim? Where does he make money?
When people come to resorts and hotels and people have disposable income.
Yeah, so I know Trump well.
Yeah.
He went to Kim Jong-un, who cried And people said he cried the private meeting. He came out and cried. And Trump showed him a DVD graphic of South Korea is the most populous, most successful per capita country in the world. Per capita, South Korea is the most successful in the world. He said, you're the same people. He showed him a DVD computer program of hotels, golf courses, and casinos, and said within 10 years, we will free all your people. You'll be making $100 billion a year. And Kim Jong-un said, he cried and said, China runs me. And Trump said, I know. So Trump does not like war. He doesn't. He wants golf courses and hotels and casinos. He wants
Alex Jones. That's not true. It's absolutely not true. Alex Jones, God damn it, stick to telling us that he go being a showman, giving the man some shit for a show, talking about Kim Jong-un, start crying, saying China runs me. That's a goddamn lie.
The good times,
Come on,
folks.
stick to the
So
show, Alex.
that's why the globalists don't want Trump, because they're like, you naive son of a bitch. This is about power. We don't want casinos. We don't want hotels. We don't want golf courses. We don't like you banging hot hookers. You suck. And Trump's like, I love everybody. So here's the deal. They're coming after Trump. The fact that they missed and didn't kill him means they're going to escalate this. And I personally, I'm going to leave this at this. I don't talk about inside baseball. Personally, got the message to Trump this morning. And I said, if you go to Milwaukee, they might do a truck bomb. And he said, you be a pussy. He's going to Milwaukee. And I get it. The guy's got incredible bravado. He's got incredible. He's got fortitude.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, I'm not. He's not a pussy to like back off right now.
No.
He's going to win us.
There needs to be security measures there for sure. Do we know anything about this shooter other than the fact that he was a kid that lived in Pennsylvania and was in a BlackRock commercial that they filmed at his high school, which is true?
Jim, let me be 1,000% clear.
I've never been in a BlackRock commercial. Sorry.
A plane's flying over.
Yeah, it's okay. Yes, sir.
I want to be completely clear here. We don't need to ask about him or anything about him because none of that's real.
Okay.
The Secret Service does one thing. They protect the president, and the default of the Secret Service is to cover the rooftops a half mile out. This wasn't 1,000 yards. It wasn't 3,000 yards out. This was 450 feet from the president, and someone told them, don't put people on the roof when Trump gives a speech. There's no debate. They stood down. They were ordered to do it, guaranteed by the Biden administration. So that's what's happening right now. And if you think they tried to kill him yesterday and shot him through the ear, like perfect hole right in the ear.
Yeah.
If you think they aren't going to go for broke now, when this is like Super Mario Brothers, where you eat the mushroom and you're invincible.
Do you think the people in his organization get it? The things that you are saying and that you believe and that you are, talking about here tonight, do the people in his organization share those views? Do they understand what they're up against, in your estimation?
Yeah. Here's the thing about Trump. I've done a psychological study of him. I forget the top guy in the 60s and 70s that made records about self-help and believe it's going to happen. It's like Oprah Winfrey, The Secret.
Okay.
Trump listened to that record like 500 times or more. And I've literally told Trump, and I've told his people, you've got to back off. You've already won. You got to stop. And Trump said, screw you. I'm not a pussy. If they want to. So the problem is his people have already told him this. And Trump is such a maniac, which he's probably right. He believes if he just goes out there, he'll be on the road more now. He doesn't care. And so that's Trump. He believes he is invincible and he doesn't care. And now that he just got grazed and died, he's a maniac. And that's why, let me tell you something. Trump's not perfect. He made mistakes, did stuff I didn't like. I don't have to get curry with liberals and make them, oh, you're not, you don't like, no. I disagree with Trump on a lot of stuff. Warp speed, all of it got roped into it. I know him well. When I got married 8 years ago to my wife, my second wife. He called her for 10 minutes, told her how great I was. You know, he was like, he called me on my birthday, still calls me, you know, just to, like, the guy is a machine, and he's all into loyalty. And his issue is that he thinks he's invincible.
I'll tell you
And
this.
maybe he is.
I know some people that know him, and they know him well, and they all love him. They all like him. They have said to me, and you will probably agree, that there are people in his circle, whether it's the inner circle or the outer circle or whichever circle it is, that they do not trust.
Oh, he 100%. The biggest threat to Trump is them poisoning his food. And that's why Trump's a great guy, okay? He's a nice guy. He's always a big temper. He takes care of everybody. He has a soft spot for black people. I'm about to say that. It's well known. He'll, like, buy their mortgage, randomly give them, you know, double their pay because they're an old black lady. He has a thing for black people. It's just well known for his crew, because they're his crew. Other businessmen, he wants to battle them. But I was going to say something. What was your point about Trump?
I was just saying there's people in his circle that I've been told, that from people that know him and like him and know a little bit about his circle, they believe that there are people in there that are not trustworthy.
No, 100%. And so that's his biggest failure. Kushner, horrible, Google double agent, horrible person. And his loyalty, that's why the chief of staff, General Kelly, at the time, 5 years ago, look it up, said General Kelly's main job is keeping Trump away from Alex Jones. Because back then I was talking to him every 2 days. And I was like, hey, you know, Fiona Hill's Bilderberg. You know, Fiona Hill, you know, this guy is George Soros Foundation. He goes, no, send that to me. So I would have law firms. And I've been talking a lot about this. I don't want to put myself out there as a target. I'm not trying to brag and sound powerful, folks. They all knew, no one would tell him. So I had law firms. I had Baker Hostetler, which is the biggest Republican law firm. So I know he'd pay attention to that. He'd say, give me a report on that. Like when Elon Musk 6 months ago said, give me a report on the PR firms around the Sandy Hook thing on you. And so Trump would say, give me a report. So I would go pay $50,000 per memo. And I would have, like, the deputy head of the FCC, you name it, write a memo to him about, here's the legislation, here's how they're doing it, here's the people in your administration. And when I did that, the CIA went ape shit and literally had me followed home. They threatened my family. They completely came after me, which is fine. I'm not worried about it. But I don't say this to, like, act cool, Tim. This is what happened. So it wasn't that he didn't have people around him that knew what was going on. They were scared to tell him. I knew how to use Google. And I'm like, okay, well, who is General McMaster? Who is Fiona Hill? And I would send him reports, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, with law firms. And you know what happened? That happened. They called me up to D.C. They said, we want to meet with you about Trump. So I go to D.C. 6 years ago. Trump's in office for about a year. And I get there, and I'm at the top of this huge building, 50 stories high. And they said, you agree this meeting's off record? That's why it's off record. I won't say who was there. And the richest man in the world at the time said, how would you like $50 million a year for a free speech foundation? But we want you to stop and listen to us right now. And I said, I thought I came here about another meeting. And they said, no, you're here about this. And I said, no. And they said, you made a big mistake, and literally poked me in the chest. And they filed suits the next week. So I've literally been in the high-rise buildings, offered $50 million to turn against America and do it, which is easy. I love America. I love freedom. Shit, I love being a rebel. But I'm trying to explain to people, they just tried to kill Trump. What are they going to do next? False flags. You name it.
Do you think
everything
people
is on the table?
Do you think, and I don't even want to say names, but you know, you have people like Elon Musk who took a very high profile stance and says, I endorse Trump. Like, do you think there are other people that are in danger of all kinds of things, whether it's, maybe it's not violence, maybe it's their businesses being attacked, maybe it's their, you know, livelihood? Do you think that this is something that is, you know, obviously it centers Trump in your estimation, but is it bigger than him and broader than him?
Yeah, I mean, let's be 100% clear. Elon Musk was the second richest person in the world at this time. because it goes back and forth. People can guess who it was. Let's just say you get a lot of package deliveries to your house every day from us, and it symbols a little devil tail. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, absolutely, Elon Musk is a maverick, and he's anti-establishment, and he knows how to dominate. So he sees we're winning. Some people can say, is he good? Is he bad? He sees we're winning. He's on our side. He's dominating. He's doing a great job. 100%. You've got Brazil. You've got Australia. You've got the EU with criminal charges they're announcing for Elon Musk. Elon Musk is 100% on our side. He's all in. He has endorsed Trump, and it's on. It's on like Donkey Kong. So this is an epic moment to be alive. Elon Musk has never offered me money. Elon Musk has never tried to get me to do anything he wants. I've talked to him, a lot, done interviews, talked to him. I'll leave it at that. That's inside baseball. He's good friends with Joe. We're all, fellow Austinites.
Sure.
But Elon Musk sees America winning. Elon Musk sees humanity winning. He's on our team. So, yeah, of course they're after Elon Musk. Of course they're trying to put Elon Musk in prison because he's real. But the other person, the guy that owns that big shipping company, that owns a big grocery store, they literally thought, like, hey, how's 50 million sound? And I said, no. And they said, well, we're really surprised you made that
And
decision.
I know you don't want to say the name, but would a good guess be Jeff Bezos?
Oh, no, certainly not.
Okay, right.
The only reason I say this is
Thank God I'm wrong. Of course. It's not him.
Yeah, I want to keep having these meetings. Here's the deal.
Right.
I'm not bragging. It's true. I've been in meetings with Bilderberg Group members, billionaires, flown out to Bel Air, flown out to DC, flown out to London. I've sat there at literal British royalties' houses, and they're like, hey, man, we want you to join our team. How much money you want? And I'm like, does the money include all World War III? I mean, it's not hard, but I'm not that important. I'm like a baseball card. Globalists don't collect baseball cards; they collect people, Tim.
Yeah.
And so I don't tell you these stories to try to act powerful or
No.
impress you.
I listen. I've listened to you for years and years and years, and I know that you truly are deeply misunderstood. And people talk about you. They don't understand that you have a libertarian streak, that you're a lover of freedom, as we can see right now. You deeply care about the country, and you are a guy that when you disagree with Trump, you'll say it. When you agree with Trump, you'll say it. When you agree with Democrats, you'll say it. What do you think is the biggest vulnerability? Because obviously Trump is way ahead. He's way ahead in the polls. What's his biggest vulnerability electorally? Do you believe there's any, or do you believe it's pretty much the election's pretty much been decided at this moment?
Mark Zuckerberg paid $400 and something million 4 years ago to steal the election and to get a database of dead people and people who lived outside state. And so they can steal, depending on the actuary, 5 to 6%. That's that. So if Trump's winning by 5%, they can steal it. Just like we saw in Pennsylvania or Michigan, where Trump's like this is an organic curve, then bloop, Biden goes above it. So Trump's biggest weakness is they're going to kill him. They already tried to kill him yesterday. So they have nothing to lose. They don't care. They're going to try it again. So Trump's biggest issue is his mortality. It's his humanity.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are, Tim.
And people are pretty cavalier about this. I've seen a lot of people in my life that it's not comedians because their job's to make jokes, and that's completely fine. But I'm talking about real people that aren't attaching the importance to it that should be. I mean, this is when you see a bullet whiz by the head of the front runner for the Republican, for the presidency at this point, He's the nominee. He will be officially the nominee in 3 days. He's the front runner. And if you look at the polls, he's essentially the president-elect. And a bullet whizzed by his head. And I feel like people aren't attaching the significance to it that some people are, the people that are kind of surprising me. But then there's a lot of people that just feel like they're kind of just taking it in stride. And they go, yeah, well, it's a violent country. I'm like, I don't think that's the takeaway.
Yeah. I totally agree. They're delusional.
Right.
And if they kill Trump, it's going to be 10 times worse for them.
No, I know.
And that's the thing.
And this guy has a wife and a family, and there is something very callous about the way that people have responded to it.
Yeah, let's be clear. Let's be clear. I guarantee you, the pussies that are just talking about, so what? I saw like a CIA lady showed like the Grim Reaper with one of those claw games where you get the toy out and they're mad because it almost got Trump. They're like flirting with disaster and Armageddon, and like they're laughing because I know these CIA people. I know these operatives. I've studied them. They don't get the wheelhouse they're in. And so they think it's like really tough and cool and funny. The average CIA analyst cannot wipe their own ass. It's like Chuck E. Schumer a month ago at Father's Day couldn't cook a hamburger. He has a raw hamburger with a piece of cheese on it. These people are aliens. And so they thought they'd intimidated America, Tim. They thought America was done. They thought we were idiots. No, we were asleep. And now they think thumping us in the face and messing with us is making us back down. And they're about to find out the opposite. So all bets are off. They're going to try to kill Trump again. They're going to stage false flags. It's the next move. It's so easy to say what comes next. And so that's why I'm begging everybody to follow me at Real Alex Jones. I'm begging people to pray for Trump. I'm begging people to understand, because if you look at the average CIA analyst, they don't even want combat vets anymore in the CIA because they're scared of them. They have like weird college degreed women. I think it's women, but it's like literally 50-year-old women that hate men and can't fight their way out of a paper bag are literally wargaming how they're going to kick our ass.
What do you think they're planning? I mean, you know, they're running articles in the Military Times saying the draft should come back. And this is, you know, they're saying they want a draft. They're saying, you know, what are they? The generals are saying war with China is inevitable within 5 years. You've seen what they've done in the Ukraine. They've pushed the Ukraine war to the brink where we're almost in a war with Russia. They've supplied Ukraine with weapons that can reach Russia, can hit Russia, or they at least were claiming they were going to, and that might not have gone through. But there is this, what is coming? What are they, I mean, Boeing is killing everyone in the office. In Boeing, you walk in the office, you're dead. You're poisoned. What? And that's our biggest national security company. What is happening?
Tim, that's a perfect analogy. You got to come on my show.
Yeah.
I came on yours. You better come on this.
I will.
Perfect. Boeing's killed a bunch of their employees. The evidence is overwhelming because they think that fixes it. It makes it worse.
It's not good. They're killing everyone.
It's a total and absolute Streisand effect.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are, is that the deep state's dying, the deep state's falling apart, and their answer is just launch another war. In the EU, Germany, Sweden, France have announced national dress, and the public's protesting it. And they're saying, our new economy, don't worry, is war with Russia. The West started that 11 years ago. They overthrew the Ukrainian government. They started it. I'm not a fan of Russia. They're not perfect. The point is that exactly they are starting this war. They're accelerating this war. And Trump is saying he's not part of this war. So the system is in complete panic mode. Try to stop it.
And you think that they need this war for the new economic realities that are coming with AI, with technology, with all of the, you know, advancements that we're seeing? People's jobs are going away. And you think that this new world order, as you know, the term is that needs to be focused on permanent, unending war.
Well, that's it. If you're a globalist, If you're a globalist, I'm really exhausted, but it's about I am. If you're a globalist, you don't care about people dying. You don't care about war. You don't care about depression. You need an excuse to unify people around what you're doing. And so they're trying, like Hitler, when he was losing against England and against North Africa, he invades Russia. That'll unify the Germans. I'll just go attack Russia. They're in full panic mode.
Yeah, it's scary stuff. Definitely appreciate you coming on to talk about this. How are you going to be at the convention?
Tim, I'll be completely honest with you. I'm prepared to die.
Yeah.
So we're on the verge. I don't just say this, listeners. I'm physically sick right now.
Yeah. We don't want you to die.
No, I'm trying to explain this.
Yeah.
This is not. I'm not playing games. Okay.
Yeah.
I want you to listen to me very carefully. I've always followed my intellectual analysis of history. Okay. And I'm here in Northern California, which is infiltrated Bohemian Grove again. That's breaking in. And I have my 7-year-old daughter with me and my wife with me, and I've got 3 other older children. I can't get on your show and lie to you. So I'm sitting here believing we're about to have a nuclear war. They've already tried to kill Trump. They're going to do it again. And so I feel guilty literally talking to you and saying we're about to see the end of civilization. Right now on the road we're on the like you got your GPS, you're driving this restaurant, you're driving this place, you're going to the beach. We're not going to the beach, folks. We're going to thermonuclear war and the end of civilization and total death. And I don't say that to be dramatic. I literally was sitting here and you were asking me what's happening next, and I started to vomit.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm tough. Okay. I'm tough. Okay. I've been in a lot of fights. I don't break. I don't easily buckle. I am literally having a panic attack right now because of the magnitude of what's happening to our civilization. So I want to be very clear with people. I don't want to say what I think because I don't want to sound like an asshole to people. Okay. We are in the middle of World War III with the Russians. It's already started. Everything is collapsing. Everything is insane. And if we sit there and if we...
There's the reason to live and there's the reason to save. There's the reason to save the country right there, right?
That's what I'm saying is that I don't want to come here and tell you and say a bunch of horrible shit because it gives power to it, but it's happening.
Yeah.
I'm literally having nightmares every night. I'm literally preparing to die. And I'm sitting there watching everybody going playing golf and watching Netflix, think it's all a fucking joke. Folks, it ain't a fucking joke. Okay. Right. And all I'm telling people is that I know how things work. This is what I do. And we are in World War III with the Russians.
Yeah.
We have a crazy Joe Biden. They just tried to kill Trump. Come on, people. What do you think comes next? They're going to power outages. They're going to do a cyber attack. They're going to kill Trump. And I'll just say that. They're going to kill Trump. I think he's dead. So I am physically, I'm literally, I was trying to be dramatic earlier. I was about to vomit. I love you, baby. It's my daughter right here. Say hi to folks, Veronica. So, I mean, this is going back to baby. I'll be almost off. This is not a game, okay? People, thermonuclear war is not a game, okay?
No.
What's going down, and the average person cannot gauge this. They think, oh, everything's fine because you've lived in freedom so long, folks. This isn't a game. And I am literally doing the shutdown process and preparing to die. I'm literally looking at my daughter and my wife and preparing for nuclear war because that's a probability, not a possibility.
Well, Alex, and you know what? I agree with you, but I want to remind you that there's a lot of people that care about you. You're incredibly talented. Your family loves you. And That's why I had you on, because we wanted to hear what you had to say. And, you know, I've been listening to you since I'm 13. So if we can just send love to you and hope that you feel better, because you get involved in a lot of crazy shit and read about it and process it and internalize it. But we're just sending love to you and your family. And I really appreciate you coming on and talking about this, because this is really, for lack of better words, fucked up shit. And
I want to be 100% clear.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I whined and
no, you didn't
complained and all that. What I'm trying to say to everybody, my family's out there, right?
Yeah.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Right.
This is a total meltdown takeover by any yardstick. The globalists are in bunkers right now. They're all hiding. I'm saying we've got to recognize how dangerous this is, and we've got to contact Congress, contact the media, and say, stop this. That's all I'm trying to say, is that I want to say what I really believe, and I'm not trying to be dramatic. It feels evil to say we're on the verge of nuclear war.
No,
it feels disgusting to do this. That's all I'm trying to say. And they just tried to kill Trump. We're not in Kansas, folks. We're not in a normal situation. So, Tim, I love you.
Thank you.
Please come on my show.
Dude, I will.
And God bless you.
I appreciate it. God bless you. And thank you, Alex. Alex.
.6'4". I go to Stanford University. I have a 10-inch 6'4". I go to Stanford University. I have a 10-inch.
So that was the voice of 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks.
Say you go to Stanford.
The Trump shooter, right? The would-be assassin of Trump. Kind of gives you an idea about, you know, how he thinks, a small glimpse of the type of things he said. It sounds childish. It sounds a little immature. It sounds like it's, we could say, locker room talk, banter. But he was surrounded by people, and it doesn't seem like he was a loner like what people have said he is. That came from TMZ, by the way. TMZ probably reached out to classmates, or classmates maybe reached out to them and said, hey, here's something. He was talking about a 10-inch, and you know what he's talking about. Sounds childish, sounds immature, probably taken when he was maybe a senior, junior, freshman, sophomore. But they've been reporting that this guy is a loner, right? Didn't have many friends. But thinking and talking like that kind of seems like he probably does have friends out there. In reference to this horrible crime, did he act alone? He's 20 years old. They did report that he had a Discord account, and he was on the social media platform Discord, but Discord removed that account that he had. Unclear if he had Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I haven't seen anything, but how many friends have this guy got? And how many friends? Was he a loner like some of the people said? I don't think so based off that clip. Seems like that was in a classroom, or was he just saying that just to be cool? Or just talk, to try to be friends with people. I don't know. But we're trying to get an understanding on who this guy is right here. Why did this guy do this horrible crime? Why did he get a rifle from his dad Matthew, and go up to Butler, Pennsylvania? We still don't know the motive. But what concerns me a little bit about this case, ladies and gentlemen, is I hope this doesn't turn into a type of Stephen Paddock, Las Vegas shooting type of investigation where till this day, the FBI has still not revealed the motive for the Las Vegas mass shooting that happened years ago. FBI is investigating this case, Secret Service, probably numerous agencies. But is it going to get to the point where we'll never know why he did that? Did this horrendous crime? It could be a possibility. But we're analyzing this to a T. And there'll probably be more videos coming out about this guy. I want to hear his voice. I want to hear his insight. Supposedly he went to school and he specialized in math. he specialized in calculus. So I'm wondering if that had any factor into him doing this crime as far as the measurements of the distance of a shot, firing, trying to get maps, locations, whatever, use that intelligence he learned at school to be able to navigate himself up to Butler, Pennsylvania to go to the Trump rally. Who knows? JLR investigates. Stay tuned.
It's like they don't think you're stupid. They know you're stupid now. They don't care. They're not hiding it. Cat's out of the bag? I don't know. Do I know what's happening? No, I don't. But let me tell you what I'm learning this morning. Let me tell you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing stuff like this. You can see this now. There are people who were at this building number 3 where the shooter was saying minutes before, hey, there's a guy crawling around on the roof up there. They're watching him. They're pointing. They're yelling about it. This kid
imaging video
was in a BlackRock commercial. It's getting more and more bizarre. And this guy who shot this assassin, look him up. But imagine, if you will, if Oswald had taken his shot in this day and age and all the people filming him up in the book depository saying, hey, look, there's a guy up there with the gun. Oh, look, there's another one over there in the grass. I mean, time has collapsed and things happen much more quickly. And this, I don't know what's going on, but I know what I'm seeing. I'm literally watching people filming this guy on this roof. Can you see that? It's not a good shot. But they're like, what? What's going on? What's he doing? He's crawling around on the roof. And there's another perspective, and people are saying, he's got a gun. That guy's got a gun on the roof. And you have people saying stuff like this. Yesterday was an inside job orchestrated by Joe Biden's director of Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas.
Alejandro Mayorkas. That's a small hat hiding up under the name Alejandro Mayorkas. Just like Thomas Matthew Crooks is a Jewish guy with the last name Crooks.
For the deep state. How did a 20-year-old kid get a rifle and get within 140 yards in an elevated position for a clean shot of the next president? Yeah. How did that happen? Don't question that. That doesn't seem like anything we should question. I mean, if it was same thing, if it was Biden, if a guy shot Biden in the head, nobody would question why a 20-year-old kid was climbing around on a building with a rifle. Right? I keep saying this. My strong suit is questioning, wondering, researching, not knowing. Because when do you ever really know? And there he is. Poor guy, just trained on him, just waiting. And he finally shoots him. Okay, just waiting. What is the next play? I don't know. They martyred Trump. They ensured his next presidency, right? Pretty much. So to shift things from here, would they try to assassinate Biden now? Isn't that an interesting theory? Yikes. But me, I don't have any idea. I really don't. I don't know. This game is afoot, and it is wild, my friends.
This game is afoot?
This game is afoot. But just say it was a game, and you are a strategist, right? Mm-hmm. And all these people on the left they're done with Biden. They've asked him to step down. And he's like, I'm going to stay in the race, Biden, in spite of everybody on the left now asking him to step down. Almost everybody. If you were a strategist, let's just run this theory, this idea. Would it be a good idea to kill your president because he won't step down? If you're willing to assassinate Trump or try to, and that failed, and you're trying to get Biden to step down, would it be a good idea to go ahead and assassinate your own president and say it was Trump's people? crazy right wingers. I mean, they've already convinced everybody that he's a hateful, racist, dangerous guy, which I've not seen that.
I've not seen that.
They've convinced these weak-minded people that.
Yeah.
But it seems if you were just running the in the war room, coming up with ideas, wouldn't you posit that? Wouldn't you say, hey, maybe we should kill our guy and say it was Trump's people, and then get people, and then we can shift that support back to our party.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Oh God,
I hope not. Nobody's ever tried to or planned on assassinating Biden because the conservative people don't act like that.
Yeah.
The liberals, the hateful left, who are supposed to be the loving,
Yeah. They're the opposite.
Yeah, they're the opposite. We know that now. I mean, if you don't see that, come on. But yeah, they're capable. They've proved they're capable, and it just seems like a plausible theory. So just don't know, just ask questions and listen and watch as things unfold.
Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas. Of course, Secretary, the Secret Service is under the Department of Homeland Security. There are so many questions today about what happened on Saturday. What did the Secret Service do, not do? What kind of a failure was it in their planning and their protocol? How was that man able to get so close to assassinating the former president? What is, first and foremost, the latest you know about the man who did this? Do you think we will learn a motive, Secretary?
Kate, we will deliver answers to the American people to the fullest extent possible. That is our responsibility and not ours alone. As I hope you know, the FBI is conducting a criminal investigation, and President Biden has directed an independent review of the incidents on Saturday. But let me take a step back and echo President Biden's very, very important words. We are so relieved that former President Trump is okay. Our hearts break for the Comprador family. And of course, we pray for a speedy and safe, full recovery for those injured. We have to tone down the rhetoric in this country. We are in a heightened threat environment. Our incredible protective services adapt to that dynamic threat environment and make the changes that are necessary. That is indeed what an independent review is directed to do. Identify what occurred, make recommendations to ensure that nothing like this ever happens again. We have a fail-proof responsibility.
But what level of failure was it? I mean, it's been called by some lawmakers a security failure at the highest level. We now know just this morning, we learned the Secret Service director in her first public comments said this: the Secret Service is working with all involved federal, state, and local agencies to understand what happened, how it happened, and how we can prevent an incident like this from ever taking place again. But Secretary, do you call this a security failure on the part of the Secret Service?
An incident like this cannot happen. That is precisely why President Biden directed an independent review, so that review, its conclusions and its recommendations have the full confidence of the American public. We will carefully analyze in an independent and thorough fashion what occurred. Recommendations will be made. Those recommendations will be implemented. We are in a dynamic threat environment. We adapt to that dynamism every single day. Changes have been made to the Republican National Convention, just as the 18-month planning calls for. It calls for changes based on changes in the threat environment, and that is where we are now.
If you don't want to say, because a review is still happening, who is who failed in terms of the security around this rally. Do you agree that it was a failure? You said this cannot happen, but first and foremost, before you make sure you make the changes, you have to acknowledge what a failure this was.
Kate, when I say that something like this cannot happen, we are speaking of a failure. We are going to analyze through an independent review how that occurred, why it occurred, and make recommendations and findings to make sure it doesn't happen again. I couldn't be clearer.
And I sincerely appreciate the clarity on this. I did want to ask you, because this has popped up. Republican Congressman Mike Walls, he said on social media on Saturday, and I'm going to read this for you because it does talk about you, Secretary. I have very reliable sources telling me that there have been repeated requests for stronger Secret Service protection for President Trump denied by Secretary Mayorkas. Your department has already pushed back on that, calling that absolutely false, but he is putting this on you.
What's the chances that the man in charge is a small hat and the shooter is one too? I wonder how that fit into this scheme.
Can you respond to that, please?
Well, that's a baseless and irresponsible statement, and is one that is unequivocally false.
That's a lie. You denied Trump security.
How confident are you now that the Secret Service are up to the task right now of protecting President Biden and former President Trump through the duration of this campaign now?
I am confident that they are. With respect to the Republican National Convention, the plan has been in place in development for 18 months. This is a responsibility that not only the United States Secret Service shoulders, but we work with our federal partners and state and local partners to ensure the safety and security of the Republican National Convention, the Democratic National Convention, and each and every campaign event.
We just witnessed this.
Secretary, just finally, you said changes will be made, an independent review will happen. This cannot happen. Do you expect, or would you want to see people lose their jobs over what has just happened? Donald Trump had a near-death experience. One man is now dead, and 2 more people were shot, seriously shot and wounded, and recovering now in a hospital.
Kate, I have full confidence in the leadership of the United States Secret Service. An independent review will make factual findings and recommendations based on those findings, and I look forward to studying those findings and recommendations and acting accordingly.
Secretary, I was literally just handed this. We have new reporting coming in from CNN's Whitney Wild.
You mop the floor at McDonald's and don't put the wet floor sign down. Somebody slip and fall, you can get fired. But they don't want to. The president was almost assassinated. Nobody's fired. What a joke.
That says a spokesman for U.S. Secret Service tells CNN the agency did not personally sweep the building where the attempted assassin shot former President Trump, but instead leaned on local law enforcement to conduct security at that location. Are you okay with that?
Kate, let me make 2 points. Number one, and let me repeat that we will defer to an independent review of the facts to determine what those facts are and make findings and recommendations based on it. Number one. Number two, in campaign events historically and now, including the conventions themselves, we work collaboratively with our federal partners as well as with our state and local partners. These are very, very significant undertakings, and we work seamlessly and closely with our partners across the national security, homeland security enterprise. I am going to defer to the independent review, and we will take those findings and recommendations and act on them accordingly.
Do you have any plans to speak yourself with former President Trump or his campaign in light of all of this?
Kate, President Biden, as he communicated to the American people, has been in touch with former President Trump. We are in close coordination with the Republican National Convention through the United States Secret Service to understand the threat landscape, to understand the security posture, and to take any recommendations and act on them. This is a mutual relationship. Communication works both ways. We are in close touch with the protectees whom we are responsible for. That is how the United States Secret Service operates historically and in an ongoing basis.
Secretary, thank you very much for coming on this morning, as so many questions and so much is still unknown.
Now, I want y'all to listen to this interview. They actually tightened Joe Biden up on a little bit.
Let's talk about the conversation this has started, and it's really about language, what we say out loud and the consequences of those. You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that.
I didn't say crosshairs. I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was, what I guess I was talking about at the time was there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term was bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye.
Bullseye, Mr. President. And when you said that, the shooter could have been programmed to when he hear the president say time to put Trump in the bullseye, then he act. After he failed miserably, after he failed miserably in the debate, he came out, said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. That's what happened. The shooter put him in the bullseye.
I mean, focus on him. Focus on what he's doing. Focus on his policies. Focus on the number of lies he told in the debate. Focus. I mean, there's a whole range of things that, look, I'm not the guy that said I want to be a dictator on day one. I'm not the guy that refused to accept the outcome of the election.
Oh, here we go. Ain't no more unity. What happened to the unity? He threw it out the window once he got questioned about why did he say put Trump in the bullseye? Huh? What? Oh, look, I'm not the one who wanted to be a dictator. Oh, is that why you tried to whack him, Joe? See, Joe can't even play like he kept for too long.
I'm not the guy who said that one accept the outcome of this election automatically. You can't only love your country when you win. And so the focus was on what he's saying, and I mean the idea.
But have you taken a step back and done a little soul searching on things that you may have said that could incite?
Oh, Lester, who told these people to do this to this? I mean, you hear this? Lester Holt didn't give a damn about nothing Joe Biden said. He said, well, hold on. Have you did some soul searching? They not here to talk about Trump, Joe. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. And then somebody tried to whack him. And somebody that told Lester Holt, ask some real fucking questions and don't play no games right now with him. They want Joe Biden gone. Joe Biden better be very careful because I heard it's going to be some get back. That's what the media is insinuating.
People who are not balanced.
Well, I don't think, look, how do you talk about the threat to democracy, which is real, when a president says things like he says?
See?
Do you just not say anything because it may incite somebody?
Same old Joe.
Look, I've not engaged in that rhetoric. Now, my opponent is engaged in that rhetoric. He talks about there'll be a bloodbath if he loses, talking about how he's going to forgive all the, actually, I guess, suspend the sentences of all those who were arrested and sentenced to go to jail because of what happened in the Capitol. I'm not out there making fun of, like, remember the picture of Donald Trump when Nancy Pelosi's husband was hit with a hammer, joking about it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories.
Fox News alert, NBC News has just released a clip from Lester Holt's interview with President Biden. Let's listen to that.
Let's talk about the conversation this has started, and it's really about language, what we say out loud and the consequences of those. You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that
I didn't say
words matter.
crosshairs. I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was, what I guess I was talking about at the time was there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on it.
But will the media and Democrats listen to the president when he calls to lower the temperature? While the former president was still bleeding from a bullet wound to his head, some in the press were quickly trying to blame Trump for getting shot.
Of course, President Trump and his supporters have contributed to this violent rhetoric as well.
Well, absolutely, George. We were just looking back this morning at some of the things that former President Trump has said. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That will be the least of it. He said he was partly joking and that was taken out of context. But those are indeed his words.
He is recovering from these injuries now.
Whenever
This
they
was a
say
traumatic.
bloodbath, I have seen a video where all politicians have said it's going to be a bloodbath, talking about a landslide victory and things of that nature. Democrats say this shit all the time. So they just be.
Event, no doubt, for him. But I did notice there was no call for lowering the temperature, condemning all political violence, and really trying to signal to his supporters as well not to retaliate or to have any kind of escalation here.
Jesse, I'll go to you first. You know, it's interesting. I just pulled up the quote by Joe Biden within days before the shooting is, "We're done talking about the debate. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye." Can he really lower his own tone and temperature?
He won't, because that's all the Democrats have. They have this demonization strategy that animates their base, that gets them fired up. They get ratings from it. They make money fundraising from it. So if you take that, that's basically the cornerstone of the Democrats' turnout operation, which is Trump's a threat. And without the Democrats being against Trump, they don't even know what they're for. So we'll see if they're able to table that. I doubt it. I think they just need to go into a corner and sit down and think about what they've been saying. Now, we don't know if Crooks was watching Morning Joe all day and watching Politico report the bullseye comment. We don't know if he had help. We don't know if he's one of these kooks like the Reagan assassin that was trying to impress Jodie Foster. We don't know. But we do know the stories that they've been telling about this man have been toxic and the language has been way too hot. It's the same thing the CIA does with foreign governments that they want to overthrow. They controversialize the leader. They deplatform, they drum up stupid investigations, and then they whip up this hurricane of hostility, which makes the public so crazy they think they're in imminent danger if the leader stays around. It's damaging. It should never be done inside this country.
You know, Dana, Donald Trump has indicated that for the Republican National Convention, he had, quote, a humdinger of a speech. And he said that after the shooting, he made a decision to give a whole different speech, suggesting that speech is going to be talking about unity. And this is an opportunity for President Trump to be one of the greatest presidents.
And he
if
says
can
in
do
that interview, I was given a chance to help unite the country and even the world. That might not be the exact quote, but
yeah,
it's along those lines. And last night in Biden's speech afterward, I said, I felt like it fell short of hitting the mark. And the reason I did is because he didn't say something like, including me. In fact, last week I said that we should be in the bullseye. Now that's a metaphor. Lots of us use metaphors. But I can see how that could be taken today. And so follow me. I will lead. I'm going to be the one who does. But because he didn't do that, Lester Holt is able to say, what about what you said? So they could have taken the sting out of it, but they decided not to do that. And just remember, you know, it was Joe Biden who said that Romney was going to put Black Americans back in chains. It was the Jim Crow 2.0. Even last night, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweets that we have to protect the country from the fascists. So I'm not sure that the message is getting through on the left. I don't know what the end of this week will look like on that front, but yes, there is an opportunity. And I also believe that all of us use metaphors so that we can give each other a little bit of grace on that front and just say, okay, going forward, let's be a little bit more thoughtful about the language. I don't know how long that lasts, but I do appreciate the spirit of the moment.
Yes, and we'll see. And Jessica, I didn't say before, I missed arguing with you. I really did. And I'm so glad to have you back. But, you know, Jen Psaki was demanding, this is after the attempted assassination, that Republicans change their rhetoric, their tone. And she said she's incredibly scared. Rachel Maddow, of course, has always talked about being taken off the air and being put in a camp. I mean, that's the kind of language that I'm really surprised in this moment that Jen Psaki is sticking to.
I think that everyone is concerned about what's to come next. And I've spoken to a number of Republicans, obviously, around the convention who are worried that something else may happen, right? That if it's possible that that shooter could get that close to him, that we could see something else. And it could happen to anyone of any political stripe. And I think that's where Jen Psaki's concern is coming from. I happen to think that you don't need to change the program. You could watch your words, whatever you're going to say, and there are going to be a lot of fiery speakers. Some of them are coming during the day. Obviously, the primetime speeches are going to be big, but I'm not in the business of telling Republicans what they can do with their convention. We'll lead by example of what we think our convention should look like, and the themes of the convention are the basis for the campaign. And
But Jen was demanding that the Republicans.
I know. I'm saying I don't agree with that. I think
I
think that they should be sensible and responsible about the moment, and it's a huge moment to do that. But I wanted clarity from President Biden on the bullseye comment. We'll watch the Lester Holt interview with interest. But nobody who's being an honest broker can possibly believe that the Democratic rhetoric is the problem here. So if the issue is that we're saying all the time that he's like Hitler and he's a threat to democracy, and by the way, J.D. Vance has also said that he's like Hitler, and I guess he's redeemed now. But Donald Trump sent a fundraising email just last week that said Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. And only one of these candidates has inspired people who sent pipe bombs to leading Democrats across the country, who has inspired mass shooters. Talk about firing up the base. Donald Trump has been doing that since 2016. Remember when he said the Second Amendment people could take care of it? Right when he was talking about Hillary Clinton abolishing the Second Amendment and she'll get to appoint judges. He talked about, remember that congressman from Montana who body slammed a reporter and he said, he's my type. He retruthed or whatever it was, a video of Joe Biden hogtied just back in
That was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Your examples
hilarious.
are so tiny.
No, they're
We're
not.
talking about an attempted assassination that left a man dead. The shooter groomed and incentivized
no
by a
idea.
drumbeat of demonization.
You have no idea
You
what
can
that
call people
registered Republican
You can call
was
people
groomed
Hitler all you want, but you have to ask yourself, why would you? You have a right to say whatever you want. You can say, I'm a Nazi, I'm Hitler, but the question is, why would you?
I would never.
You cannot pretend that you did not know where it would lead. Trump laughs about a picture of a hogtied Joe Biden on the back of a pickup truck. That is not demonization. That is a meme.
And saying to Second Amendment people you could take care of it about Hillary Clinton, what is that, Greg? That was his opponent. That was his political opponent.
You know, the day before the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, Joe Biden said he's even more dangerous than I've said before. He's unhinged, he's snapped, and I guess he really didn't watch the debate when he was asked if he had seen it. He's a threat to this nation. He'll win over my dead body.
You know, but you know what? I'm sure when he called Trump, he said, no hard feelings.
Yeah.
You know, that's how it works in politics. I say you're evil. No, but you have to understand. It's scary to think that Joe Biden would lie like that, but he has, or it's scary that he would believe this stuff. The real challenge for the party is, what do you do next? You can't do the Trump is Hitler narrative anymore because you'll be thoroughly reviled by the public. You know, you're going to need more than demonization, but you got nothing else planned. So you're going to pivot to abortion. Good luck with that. The dog, when it comes to Trump as Hitler, the dog caught the car and you realize you can't drive it. I think, you know, and you can sit here and you can say, throw all the rhetoric at Trump that you want. Everybody understands Trump. Everybody understands. He makes jokes. Your side wasn't making jokes. When you call somebody Hitler and we say, no, we're not, those two aren't the same thing.
The guy who sent pipe bombs understood the jokes.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
There were pipe bombs. There were pipe bombs that were around January 6th. I still don't know.
Scalise. I mean, come on.
We
happy to talk about it. And Bernie Sanders came out right away and said,
"Okay, Jesse."
All right. Well, I just think you should prepare for a beautiful dictatorship, Jessica. It's going to be a 4-year dictatorship.
So this Fox News alert now, we have major breaking news on one of the cases facing the former president, Donald Trump. Specifically, the documents case based out of Palm Beach, Florida. For more on that, David Spun tracking it in Washington, D.C. And David, I'll allow you to deliver this major headline.
Judge Eileen Cannon has dismissed the classified documents case against Donald Trump in Florida. This is massive news. We did not see this coming at all. This is a case that she tentatively postponed to a later date. The original trial was set for the end of May. She moved it back a couple of months, though not setting a date. She has just dismissed it in a 93-page court document saying that Jack Smith, the special counsel's appointment, violates the appropriations clause and the appointments clause of the United States Constitution. In layman's terms, she's saying that he was not appointed lawfully and not appointed appropriately. I'm sure we're going to be hearing from the Department of Justice about this momentarily, as Attorney General Merrick Garland believes that he had every right, and his team believes every right, that he could appoint Jack Smith as special counsel. We're going through this right now. It's 93 pages. The printer is cranking up behind me, page by page. But essentially, the bottom line here is that this documents case goes completely away for Donald Trump. There was a hearing that was originally scheduled for next week to talk more about this appointments issue. Judge Cannon issues this on the day of the beginning of the RNC. So right now, Donald Trump still has one pending case against him in federal court. That's here in Washington, D.C. That's his alleged attempts to try to overturn the 2020 election. Special counsel Jack Smith received a blow to that case just a couple of weeks ago with the Supreme Court. That seems to be somewhat delayed right now. But this is big news. No question that this case is completely dismissed. Bill?
What's interesting is that, David, you said that's a 93-page ruling. I'm kind of curious as to why it would take so many pages, because if based on what you're saying is she's not ruling on the merits of the case. She's ruling that the special counsel should never have been appointed. And then I wonder about the reverberation, how that will reverberate throughout the Department of Justice, because does that mean that other situations like this would also be dismissed?
It's a great question, and we're waiting to get some clarity from DOJ. I'm just reading here on page 2 of 93. It says the appointments clause sets as a default rule that all officers of the United States, whether inferior or principal, must be appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. Jack Smith was not confirmed by the Senate. I assume Dana and Bill will hear an argument from DOJ that past special counsels, John Durham, Robert Mueller, just to name a few in recent memory, also were not confirmed in that way and were appointed and were allowed to continue their work. So that's what we're probably going to hear from DOJ. But a major coup and major win for former President Trump, who comes off this last weekend.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmer.
Cannon, she has dismissed the Trump classified documents case because the special counsel prosecution is in violation of the appointments clause of the Constitution. Of course, the special counsel in the case may appeal this case, so the saga may not be over yet, but that breaking news just coming into us right now at CNN. Let me go to CNN's Caitlin Polance. She joins me now. Caitlin, I know this is a very sudden development with lots of implications. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Judge Eileen Cannon is closing the classified documents
case against Donald Trump. This was charged about a year ago in the Southern District of Florida, where prosecutors from the special counsel's office, so an office that was appointed by Merrick Garland for the particular reason to look at this in some sort of protected, independent way from the rest of the department, they brought more than 30 charges against Donald Trump for mishandling classified records after the presidency and for obstructing justice, that investigation, trying to keep them when the government wanted them back. Judge Cannon is now saying that prosecutor doesn't have the ability to bring this case in court, and thus it must be dismissed. What she's doing here, Jim, is very much in line with what Justice Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court said in a concurrence just a few days ago in the presidential immunity case. He wrote about the special counsel's office and Judge Cannon's finding here. The reason that this case can't go before her is she says this special counsel just doesn't have the power in the way that she reads the Constitution. Thus, it's done.
Yeah, Caitlin, I mean, reading what the judge says in this ruling, it says both the appointments and appropriations challenges as framed in the motion raise the following threshold question. Is there a statute in the United States Code that authorizes the appointment of special counsel Smith to conduct this prosecution? After careful study of the seminal issue, the answer is no. And it seems, she goes on to say, the executive's growing comfort in appointing regulatory special counsels in the more recent era has followed an ad hoc pattern with little judicial scrutiny. And so, I mean, she really is slamming the fact that there is a special counsel that's been appointed in all of this. But it makes you wonder, Caitlin, why she didn't raise this a while ago. I mean, how is this coming up now?
It's coming up now because she's just getting to it now. This is something that Trump's team had brought up to her months ago, and she just held a hearing on it just a few weeks ago in June before her. And she did seem to want to really look into, is there enough here for her to allow the special counsel case to move forward under the Constitution? And then we get that Thomas concurrence from the Supreme Court basically outlining that he doesn't believe, at least him, no other justices signed on to it, but at least Thomas didn't believe that the special counsel's office is appropriate. There have been, though, Jim, several other special counsel office prosecutions that people have tried to test this idea that there isn't the authority to bring in a special counsel to bring a case like this against anyone, let alone it be Donald Trump or not. And those cases have moved forward and gone to trial. This one, though, it's different. And Judge Eileen Cannon is ruling differently than other judges related to special counsel Jack Smith and says no more in Florida.
Fascinating development. And it makes you wonder whether or not the special counsel or the Department of Justice may appeal this. I suppose that could happen as well. Is that right, Caitlin?
Very much so. Because this would be a final moment in this case, it is something the Justice Department may try to appeal, take it up to the circuit above her. But they're going to have a lot of things to do. They already are getting their ducks in a row again related to the presidential immunity decision and how that impacts the other federal case against Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. related to January 6th. They have a lot to figure out in the coming days on exactly what's next. It is a very new landscape for these criminal prosecutions of the former president.
Absolutely. And of course, calls into doubt whether this case will ever go to trial. Caitlin Polans, thank you very much. And CNN's Kristen Holmes is live from Milwaukee for us. Any reaction from your end, Kristen?
Yeah, they are celebrating. Look, we are expecting a statement any moment now. This is happening in real time, but we, of course, will bring that to you as soon as we get it. But Jim, we really cannot stress how big of a deal this is for the former president and for his team. There were many around Donald Trump who saw this case as the most solid case against him. Remember, there are recordings of Donald Trump saying that he knew he had classified documents. He wasn't supposed to show them to anyone. There was evidence piling up against him, and his team really believed that this was probably the most significant case against him. So this being dismissed is a huge deal. Now, one of the things that they are pointing to is the fact that they had already believed that this case was not going to go to trial before the election. Remember, this has been their tactic all along, to delay with the hope that Donald Trump was to be elected in November, and those federal cases against him, both this case and the January 6th case, could be dismissed by the former president once he was back in office. Obviously now, as we noted, they can appeal, but they wouldn't even have to go that far because this case has been dismissed. Now, they're waiting to see what the next steps are going to be. Obviously, they believe that the special counsel's office is going to appeal this, but this is a huge victory for the former president when it comes to his legal issues. Jim.
All right, Kristen, let us know when you get reaction. We appreciate it. And CNN legal analyst Michael Moore, he joins me now on the phone. Michael, let me get your reaction to all of this. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of criticism for months now that Judge Cannon was sort of in over her head in handling this case. Did she simply look for an off-ramp here to dump this case?
Wasn't no case.
Well, I'm glad to be with you. I do think she probably looked for a way to get out of it. I think it's a little bit too cute by half to do a dismissal order on at the beginning of the Republican National Convention where Trump will be nominated. In fact, she was nominated by him, and this seems to be just a little bit too cute. And I will tell you, I have no question the Justice Department Special Counsel's Office will appeal the case because this is the kind of dismissal that would have broader implications. We're not talking about dismissal because there was some particular unique fact in this case versus any other case. This is painting with a little bit broader brush, and so she'll see an appeal of her decision taken to the 11th Circuit, and the 11th Circuit has been somewhat critical of prior decisions she's made. It's a very conservative circuit here, and then ultimately that decision would be appealed, whichever way it goes, I'm sure would be appealed to the Supreme Court, and there has already been sort of an invitation, if you will, by Justice Thomas to question the appointments of special counsel and this type of thing. So this is sort of the beginning now of the briefing and the appeal schedule. But quite a significant decision at a unique time, and again, I'm not reading in ulterior motives, but the timing coinciding with the beginning of the convention is certainly unique, especially for a case which sat for months without any orders and decisions by this particular district judge.
It's really extraordinary. And for those viewers who are just tuning in, we just want to recap that the judge in the classified documents case has dismissed that case, saying that the special counsel prosecution is in violation of a portion of the Constitution. That's her reading of it. It's also a reading from Justice Clarence Thomas. But obviously, Michael, a lot of other legal scholars, lawyers like yourself, feel very differently about this. And we've seen other special counsel investigations happen in other cases. And so what makes this one different? Is it any different?
Right. Well, it may not be any different. I mean, I think, there's an argument about whether or not the special counsel here was under any oversight and this type of thing. And I'm sure that, as we're getting the opinion and sort of digesting it, we'll see some of those arguments. But, if you think about it, there's already another special counsel case that has moved forward out of Washington. And so clearly there's going to be a conflict in the district court opinions. There appears to have already been at least a circuit decision out of the D.C. Circuit, which affirmed the case moving forward. And then the Supreme Court, that's when we got into this whole immunity question. So when you have conflicts between district courts and conflicts between circuits, that's what makes cases ripe for appeal, certainly to be considered on a broader level at the U.S. Supreme Court ultimately, and that's where we're going to end up. But the stakes are high because the special counsel's office has been a good tool to look at misconduct or allegations of misconduct, prosecutions that need to be handled in a sort of an apolitical manner, and she's now brought all that into question with this order. So again, I don't think that this affects the timing of the trial happening before the election, because that was not going to happen anyway. We were just not going to see this trial before the election. But what it does is it throws shade, if you will, over other prosecutions by the special counsel's office, and certainly makes the case then move forward to the Supreme Court, where they may open it or accept it more openly, especially given their recent ruling on presidential immunity.
Right, which I guess raises the question, Michael, about the January 6th case, Special Counsel Jack Smith's other case that is before Judge Chutkan here in Washington. Right. Might the Trump attorneys say, we want to do the same thing that was done in the classified documents case?
Absolutely.
My guessing is that the laser printers are already going on the motions and the notices to tell Judge Chutkan that, in fact, there has been a decision that has found this to be unconstitutional, and that she should accept this as supplemental authority, or at least certainly persuasive supplemental authority as she looks at a motion to dismiss based on the same grounds in Washington. And that sort of gives you an idea of the impact and what can happen. So we go from a little courthouse down in South Florida, and now this is like shooting a missile to the courthouse in Washington, D.C. On that case. And so we'll certainly see, but there's no question the case is going to be appealed, and that also that Judge Chutkin will be dealing with motions to dismiss based on
breaking news on the classified documents case. Let's get right to Ken Delanian. Ken.
Jose, in a remarkable development, Judge Aileen Cannon in Florida has dismissed the indictment against Donald Trump in this classified documents case and his co-defendants on the grounds that the appointment of the special counsel violated the appointments clause of the Constitution. This is an issue that has been litigated in other special counsels, has never succeeded, but Judge Aileen Cannon has accepted the arguments of the defense that the appointment of Jack Smith and other special counsels by inference has been improper and illegal. And I'll just read you briefly from the opinion here. She says the bottom line is this: the appointments clause is a critical constitutional restriction stemming from the separation of powers, and it gives to Congress a considered role in determining the propriety of vesting appointment power for inferior officers. The government's position, she says, effectively usurps that important legislative authority, transferring it to a head of department. Let me translate that. The Attorney General appoints the special counsel. There's no law, there's no act of Congress establishing the office of special counsel after the independent counsel law went away. What Donald Trump's lawyers argued is that that's improper. The special counsel has a lot of power. He should be established by law and confirmed by the Senate, and he's not. And Judge Aileen Cannon has accepted that argument and dismissed this indictment. Now, this is very likely to be appealed by the special counsel to the circuit court. It may go all the way up to the Supreme Court. And what's really interesting here, Jose, is in the immunity opinion, Judge Clarence Thomas filed a concurrence where he raised this issue, and he all but said that he believed that the appointment of Jack Smith and other special counsels was unconstitutional under the appointments clause. And many of us said at the time that was in essence giving Judge Cannon a leg to stand on here if she wanted to rule in this direction, which no other judge, Jose, no other judge has ruled, and now she's done that, and she has dismissed the indictment in the classified documents case against Donald Trump and his co-defendants.
The entire indictment dismissed by Judge Cannon.
That's correct.
I want to go to Vaughn Hill.
He's sick. They really
what part of that didn't you understand, sir? Like the entire indictment dismissed by Judge Aileen Cannon? Like MSNBC cannot believe what they are hearing, that Trump got a victory in court. They are so pissed off, guys. I love to see mainstream media just, shite in the bed and just terrified about what's going on. I can't wait to see the main talking heads, Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow, and all of those people, Lawrence O'Donnell, and what they have to say. They probably will ignore it or just go into some raving lunatic thing about how it's unfair and they want to uphold the law and this judge. Anytime anything goes against what they think is fair or what they want, the court system, the justice system doesn't work, and these judges and this and that. But when it goes for them, they're just peeing themselves, just excitement, just like, yes, Trump's indicted, yay, he's a felon. Who are we to question the judge? Who are we to question the judicial system? Who are we? It's just so hypocritical. But let's continue.
Hilliard, who's standing by. Vaughn, just monumental breaking news on this case.
And I'll just say this here, Jose. Of course, we do not understand what the timing of this is and if it correlated at all to the apparent assassination just 36 hours ago in Pennsylvania here. But when we are looking at this ruling by Judge Cannon, it takes me to a conversation I had last night with the close ally of Donald Trump's, who is a part of the convention team here in Milwaukee. And I asked him about what this moment with the attempted assassination means. And as Donald Trump is calling for a unified America, I said, what does that look like? He said, in part, that needs to be the end of these prosecutions against him. And less than 12 hours since I had that conversation with that individual, there is the federal indictment here related to the alleged transfer of classified documents to his Mar-a-Lago property, as well as the obstruction of justice to cover up the alleged obstruction of justice to cover up the fact that he had those documents with the two co-defendants is now dropped. As Ken said, this will be able to be appealed to the 11th Circuit here, but this is a notable legal victory for Donald Trump in the immediate. We are 3.5 months to the election. Of course, in a matter of hours from now, I believe about 4 hours from now, is when the more than 2,000 delegates are going to fill into this arena here for the beginning of this convention. You're going to have the prime time addresses here. We are waiting for his VP.
One thing we know is that Biden also mishandled classified documents, and under the investigation for him, it was deemed that, we can't prosecute him because he's too senile and doesn't have a good memory. He's just a well-meaning old man who can't remember anything. Remember when they tried to sweep that under the rug after he was federally investigated for that, where he actually held these classified documents? He couldn't remember the date his son died. He couldn't remember dates, timing, people. There were so many things that spoke to that. And of course, the White House, they were happy that he wasn't going to be prosecuted like Trump, for the same thing. But they were upset that they spoke to his cognitive decline because, and went on the attack. He doesn't have cognitive decline. His memory is fine. And that's when they tried to do this very forceful. They juiced him up with crack or whatever it is they put in him. They got him to do that, the State of the Union address where he's just shouting the whole time. You know how if they juice him up with certain things, he just goes into shouting mode, and that's supposed to make him look like he's cognitive. So that's what they did after that to quiet down the media, quiet down any voices of dissent that tried to say, listen, we've been saying that he has cognitive decline. Everyone's been pointing it out. The media keeps telling us it's not true. Or classified documents for mishandling classified documents, but because this excuse was used, that it was weird. It was like on one way they want to use it as an excuse so he doesn't get in trouble, but the other way we're supposed to ignore it, and it's not true. That's how we know that's why they deserve everything that's happening to them right now. They have lied to the American people. This White House has gaslit us. They keep saying just because he's old doesn't mean that he's this fatherly, genteel figure that we should all look up to. And then, he's just well-meaning. Even in his statements about Trump, he's misspeaking. It's just a mess. And now they're hoping that this assassination attempt on Trump takes all of the heat off of his cognitive abilities and his mental decline. But no, we will continue to talk about these things. But it's just great to see the press in a free fall because they just keep hoping. They kept hoping that all of this lawfare would just destroy Trump. And it's done nothing but add to his reputation. It's done nothing but garner him more support. And then when all else fell, we see now this assassination attempt. We don't know who's behind it, but it's just crazy because they've seen even before the cognitive decline issue became mainstream. He was losing in the polls. Biden was losing in the polls. And then and then with the assassination attempt and the pictures of Trump, coming out in victory, and I reported that he went golfing after, the following days after that. So it's just a lot going on.
Because it's important that we listen to every single word of Judge Cannon's decision. And let me just read you the concluding statement on this 93-page decision. For the reasons set forth above, it is ordered and adjudged as follows. 1, defendant's motion to dismiss superseding indictment based on unlawful appointment and funding of special counsel Jack Smith, granted in accordance with this order. 2, the superseding indictment is dismissed. 3, this order is confined to this proceeding. The court decides no other legal rights or claims. 4, this order shall not affect or weaken any of the protections for classified information imposed in this case or any protective orders pertaining to classified information. 5, the clerk is directed to close this case. Any scheduled hearings are canceled. Any pending motions are denied as moot. Any pending deadlines are terminated. Done and ordered in chambers at Fort Pierce, Florida, this 15th day of July 2024. Lisa, your reaction to this?
Well, Jose, if you were just writing an opinion for lawyers where you say the case is dismissed, you stop. The way in which Judge Cannon structured her language at the end of the opinion suggests to me that she's writing for multiple audiences, and those audiences include our viewers and the general American public. She is trying to make absolutely abundantly crystal clear what the ramifications of her decision are today, not just to people like me, but to our viewers watching it at home and anybody else who has an interest or a stake in this proceeding. And as you said, what dismissal means is that any other motions are moot, any other hearings are never happening. This is a final decision of this court. The good news in that is that it can be appealed. But as you and Chuck Rosenberg were talking about earlier, the timeline for any appeal would likely, unless expedited, extend far beyond the general election timeframe. There are a couple other features, Jose, if I can, that I'd like to point out to you and your viewer, to you and our viewers. One of the first things I want to think about is that there were 7+ motions filed by Trump and his co-defendants to dismiss this case. This was always one of them, and yet it was not one of the first that Judge Cannon took up. In fact, she took her time in getting to this in June, despite the fact that the motion was made in February. And then just a few weeks ago, after hearing oral argument on this motion based on Jack Smith's allegedly unlawful appointment and appropriations of money to fund his office, she ordered an evidentiary hearing on another issue. That led people to believe that if she was going to have a days-long hearing seeking evidence on some other issue relevant to the case, that she was not going to dismiss the case outright based on the appointments clause and appropriation clause arguments. And yet, the length of this opinion suggests that this has been in the works for some time. Whatever one thinks about Judge Cannon, a 93-page opinion citing case law and briefs and constitutional text does not emerge overnight. It is a serious piece of work involving the judge and likely her law clerk's assistants, but it's not something that one spends 2 weeks writing. It's something that someone spends usually several weeks writing. The other thing that really strikes me about this is just, I want to underscore how much conduct was left untouched by even the most generous presidential immunity argument that could have been applied to this case, and indeed was applied in this case. Unlike in the DC case, where no one made the appointments clause argument, in the Florida case, Donald Trump's lawyers both made motions to dismiss based on presidential immunity and on this argument. Judge Cannon has never held a hearing on the presidential immunity argument. In fact, several days ago, she asked for supplemental briefing on the presidential immunity argument in the wake of the Supreme Court's opinion that was due for Jack Smith and his team this coming Thursday. But as Vaughn was just talking about with you, there are, even if you think that Donald Trump's charges on classified documents emanate from his time in the White House, that is, that they were lawfully his, and that by taking them with him to Mar-a-Lago, that somehow stems in and is rooted in official conduct. There were other charges here, including obstruction of justice, based on conversations, for example, that Trump had with his then lawyer, Evan Corcoran. Vaughn was referring to them a few minutes ago. That never could have been rooted in official acts or official conduct. That evidence would have come in, and more importantly, any indictment predicated on that conduct would have been fair game, because Donald Trump was then, while a former president, a private citizen.
So, yeah, they are now trying to argue this isn't fair. How could she do this? She wrote 93 pages and just put, I mean, just the way she's saying it is just so over the top and blah, 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 blah. But they, again, the same rules were not applied to Biden. He's just a genteel, senile old man who didn't mean it. But when it comes to Trump, it is not applied equally. We know that they're using lawfare, and a lot of them now, because of the Supreme Court ruling, are terrified of what could possibly happen because they started this and they started all this lawfare. And now we're going to see the outcome where it looks like Trump will be our next president. I don't have that written. I can't predict the future, but based on the polling, based on the numbers, based on the pundits, that is where it looks like it's going. And so they are terrified now of that outcome, and that all of the things they tried to do to stop him, even this assassination attempt, he's been able to overcome every single thing, and they're just in shock. And so the more victories, quote unquote, that he gets, the more in a free fall they go into. And I just love to see the mainstream media.
Kofi, follow me.